Hi there, and welcome to another episode of the Astartes Anonymous podcast, where today, the boys and I have put together some very goofy things for you all to look at with us. As most of you who are also in our Discord are in fact aware, the Astartes Anonymous team are also huge Magic the Gathering fans. And to that end, we have decided to take it upon ourselves to combine Warhammer 40k, or more accurately, the Horus Heresy, with Magic the Gathering, in the form of all of the Heresy-era Primarchs. However, before we get into that, we must, of course, review our Models of the Week. So, without further ado, I am once again joined by a lovely little man who's too patient for his own good. Another man whose interest in las cannons is not purely hypothetical. And finally, the one, the only, Captain Irresponsibility. I am your host, Tom, and these are my co-hosts.
Hello. I like Magic.
Hello. I don't like Magic. One of them plays Izzet and the other plays CDH.
I'm a Simic player. That's a really shit trio to be against. The Izzet player, the Simic player, and the closeted CDH player.
Hey guys, how we doing? Today I went out with my dad to pick up a 7-ton sofa, and on the van hire return, the van hire man was talking to us, and he talked about how his wife was quotations very large, and how when he went to get a new bed, he asked for extra springs, and they said he can't have his extra springs even though he's paid for them. And he went, "Look at her. You see why I need the extra springs."
Oh my goodness.
And I and my dad had to practice willpower to not start cackling, because he said this straight face. I don't know why he said this to us, but he said this. And so we waddled back into our car and started wheezing in the car about this man's very large wife.
Was she there?
No. Thank God.
Thank God for that. Holy shit. Did he just pull out his phone and say, "Look at her"?
No, he just talked about her and literally said quotations, she is very large.
Isn't that a backy plot point?
It is. It is the Biscuit Olivia story point, yeah, where he's just like, "Oh, my muscles are powered by love," and he's carrying his 7-ton wife on the massive bed. Yes. Hello, I'm Aaron. Hello, hi.
So, as you can tell, one out of the 4 members of tonight's podcast is indeed a master in body shaming. So when this episode is over, I will leave you with his personal address so you can send your hate mail towards him. And if we get enough hate mail saying, "Hey guys, what Aaron said was bad," and you put enough pressure on us, we'll just have to remove him from the podcast.
I said nothing of hatred. I was relaying quotations.
Anyways, gentlemen, we have some Models of the Week to look at. So let's see if Aaron can redeem himself. Let's start with Aaron's suggestion. This is a model Aaron selected by a user in our Discord called Saucy IRL. Aaron, would you like to explain this one to us?
Sick as fuck, black and yellow Nid Lictor. I believe this is one of the canonical Hive schemes. It definitely looks similar. But I could be wrong on that one. But it just got some very cool, like...
yes, this is Hive Fleet Jormungandr.
That's the one. Yeah, I thought it was. No, it's got some very, very cool, like, chameleonic bits with the foliage and stuff on the base that helps them blend in. And it's very sort of Xenos Planet-esque, which makes them just pop out all the more. Very, very snazzy model. Lovely use of the new Lictor kit. If I can call it new at this point still.
That's a really interesting thing you've kind of made me think there.
Mm.
In Space Marine 2, there is an awful lot of client-side mods to alter how your Space Marine looks. And when I say client-side, I mean mods that only affect you as the player. If you're playing in multiplayer, those mods will only affect you visually. You won't have to disrupt anyone else's game.
Yeah, like all the god-awful Marvel Rival stuff, yes.
And so what I realized just now whilst we're looking at this is no one's doing any client-side mods to change the Tyranid Hive Fleet.
No.
Wouldn't that be awesome if someone just went, "Sod it, I'm going to recolor the Tyranids." Yeah, and the game was just all Hive Fleet Jormungandr.
That's because all Tyranid fans don't know how to code, and they're all outside eating dirt.
See, I would like to see every single Tyranid texture change, just zoomed in pictures of Big Shack.
Why are you two so vicious today?
Case in point, the Tyranid player has gifted us with his gracious knowledge.
But no, lovely job. Saucy IRL. Guy looks sick.
Yeah.
Looks super nice. Good job.
Great yellow, great black, great Tyranid. So moving on to the next one. This one was chosen by Moots, and Moots has selected a model by a user in our Discord called Luthen the Worm. Moots, would you like to explain this one for us?
No.
Okay, and moving on.
You fuck me.
No, this is a wonderful chapter champion. It is I just picked it because I just love that blue and that silver and the really nice base. It's just a wonderful little painted little chapter champion.
I got to read this out. The little text he's put with it. We call unto thee, chapter champion Mithras, right hand of the great worm of Bahamut, quartermaster of the Hellfire Forge, and leader of the Worm Guardians. It's so grandiose.
Yeah.
I fucking love it when people just throw in a little bit of fucking, it's like you're making that stir fry, and this is the chili powder that he's just chucked in at the end because he just remembered he liked spicy food, I love it when little homebrew characters come with just some absolutely camp flavor text.
Love it. It doesn't have to be complicated. Sometimes you can just be cool guy being called to arms.
Yeah,
I love the way he's done his tabard. The way that the sort of the fabric nature of the bottom of the tabard is. It is very papery almost. I like it.
Sometimes you don't need a big paragraph. You just need to see this and be like, yeah, I know that guy. He's chapter champion Mithras, right hand of the great worm Bahamut, quartermaster of the Hellfire Forge, and leader of the Worm Guardians. Tell that all from the glance. Come on, guys, it's common knowledge.
Damn, man. Wouldn't I already know this? Holy shit. No, it looks great. It looks really, really good.
The leather on the this little thing on the back is really, really nice as well.
Yes, the leather from behind. Yeah, absolutely correct. I've just realized this is a kit bash, I think. Maybe, perhaps. This is not the recent chapter champion model or company champion model. This looks to me... No, this is a complete kit bash, I think, actually, because I was about to get it mixed up with the... I was about to get it mixed up with the event chapter champion or company champion that came out a few years ago, but then I realized that one holds its sword with two hands. The new one holds its sword with two hands, so I'm kind of confused as to where these arms are from. I know where the backpack's from. The backpack is from the company Heroes kit. The torso and legs and stuff could be from that or Blade Guard veterans.
I was going to say, I think this guy's
where the arms from. You reckon he's just a Blade Guard vet?
Yeah, because that's like the sword pose of like shield in the left arm, sword going over the shield in the right arm.
Oh, it's just a real. Oh, that's cool. So he's just taking the blade. He's just taking the Blade God vet's shield away and said, "Fuck it, champion." Yeah, that works. No, excellent job, Luthen the Worm. Right, let us move on to the next one. So we're going now with Croc's suggestion. So Croc has selected a model by a user in our Discord called Adam Phillip Creations. And he's just dubbed this the Blueberry Coffin. And it's just a really wonderful box knot.
I mean,
I am a huge... Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
You can't get any better than this, It's just it's just a really clean box knot. You've got your nice little heraldry. It's very like high contrast, but still grimy enough. You've got... It looks like construction equipment, which is what box knots should be like reminiscent of, in my opinion. Except the construction equipment has guns.
I love the fact that he's gone, okay, I'm going to kit bash this. I'm going to put the ironclad melee weapon on the normal box knot.
I hope Barbus ends up in one of these, man. Fuck. I wish him all the worst.
I'm sorry, Barbus. I'm sorry, Barbus. He didn't mean it.
No, he did mean it. And I'm going to...
Barbus is going to quote this now. The last time I mentioned Barbus on a podcast, he had that quoted as his Discord status for like 8 months.
Which one was it?
I think he said, let's just blame Barban - Tom from Astartes Anonymous. For anyone who doesn't know, Barban is one of the extended team. He helps with VA stuff and does some video editing on the side. He's a really great guy.
Wait, am I stupid? I said Barbus, not Barban.
Yeah, he said Barbus, not Barbon.
Oh, I was cussing. Oh, with Barban, I've Freudianly just did it again.
Was that a Simpsons clip? Where it's like,
I see his face.
Yeah. I've honestly just condemned Barban once again, just for no good reason.
I think you even said Barbus first and then switched to Barban. So
yeah. So Barbus is Croc's Deathwatch character.
Yes.
My bad. Right. Yes. So wonderful dreadnought. Wonderful dreadnought. Adam Philip Gracious. Exceptional.
Really nice, cell shading on this. It's giving me like very like classic, like paint style. I can't I can't really explain it. But like I look at this and I just think old hammer and.
Well, it's almost like the gold has been done in a hyper simplified non-metallic metal. So it's almost non-metallic metal that hasn't had its blending done yet intentionally, and it really just adds to the overall vibe.
Definitely, yeah.
So this might be a bit wrong, but this looks to me like a box knot you'd find in Vulkan.
Yes. Oh, yes. Very retro. Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
True.
If you go onto Google and you search, Dreadnought from, I don't know, like 2001, like 40K, you will find like the really bright popping colors. I'm glad he's gone with yellow. Normally, like the retro Ultramarines Dreadnoughts have lots of red, but the yellow works really well too. So yeah, excellent job, Adam Philip Creations. Right, let's move on to our last model of the week. And so this is from a user in our Discord called Dr. Stronk. And I've completely forgotten the name of this squad.
Mandrakes.
It's Jaghatai Mandrakes. Excellent.
Man.
Yeah. Just absolutely loved the glow, loved the blood splatter. It's almost like this model is almost entirely colorless outside of the fact that it's either covered in blood or just has this lovely glow.
The face is great as well, with the eye. Yeah.
Which, to be honest, is pretty accurate for how mandrakes just are in general.
Yeah.
You guys are fucked up.
Yeah, really great. I mean, this is the thing. We have mentioned historically, right? Talking about you, Thibault, how some kit bashers and painters we know are a little bit excessive with the blood and the gore. That's perfectly fine, right? There's nothing wrong with it. But this is one of those cases where it's just there is clearly an excess of blood, but because of how it's been placed, it just adds to the overall paint scheme rather than being an add-on at the end. No, really impressive. Really great work.
Super nice
there.
job, yeah.
Dr. Strunk, really wonderful. Even from behind as well, you can see how in the rear image of the model, the light kind of fades into actual like just blackness as it goes around the back of his torso, which is a really great little thing. The little texturing and flickerings of paint and texturing on the actual blade itself is really wonderful and just adds to it a lot.
Yeah.
You can sort of see that there's actually a bit of a differentiation in the vibrancy of the green between that of the blade and that of the flames. And again, lots and lots of little things just really elevate this model, I think.
Yeah, honestly.
Right. Gentlemen, thank you, Dr. Stronk. Thank you, Dr. Stronk, and all of the other people for the model of the week. Gentlemen, shall we move on to our main topic?
Yippee! Here we go.
Okay. So, a little disclaimer before we begin. We are not Magic the Gathering card designers. We are not professionals at in-game balance. We do not claim to believe all of these ideas are balanced. We are merely hoping to, at least in our own ways, represent these Primarchs on the tabletop. So, if you want to pull an r/custom magic and burn us at the stake for varying degrees of unbalance, I would kindly ask you to not. That being said, what we have done is each one of us has been given 4 or 5 of the Heresy era Primarchs, and without the knowledge of each other, we have turned them into Magic the Gathering commanders. The 4 of us are predominantly commander players, and so it is with commander in mind that each of these have been created. Each one is, as I mentioned, our own interpretations, and so there'll definitely be some variance, not just in the cards' playstyles, but also how the 4 of us have differently interpreted the design language of not just the commander, but the Primarch's personalities as well.
But Tom, what is a commander exactly?
Well, give me a minute. Let me finish my disclaimer. No. I've got written here at the end of my disclaimer, Moot, would you care to explain in layman's terms what commander is?
Okay.
Wretched bastard. And because we have not seen each other's cards or collaborated on them, there is, of course, the opportunity that there could be some mechanical overlap. And so, Moots, would you like to, I don't know, explain what commander is in layman's terms to our audience?
Speak for yourself,
impatient
man.
Wretch.
I'm the best at making magic cards.
I think
my cards are unique as fuck.
You called me patient in the beginning, which was very funny. But yes, Tom, I'd be very happy to explain to you in layman's term what commander is. So, Commander, for anyone who doesn't know, is a format in Magic the Gathering where you play 100 card decks with the caveat that one of the 99 cards is the so-called commander, the titular commander or the leader of your deck, which has to be a legendary creature. Now, the deck itself, the color identity, the colors that you can have of Magic cards that you can have in the deck is decided by the color of the commander itself. So if it is a blue-black, aka Dimir deck, then the cards in your deck can only be Dimir, aka blue-black, and nothing else.
Yeah, so just to add on to that point, Magic the Gathering has 5 colors. Blue, black, green, white, and red. Each one of those colors vaguely represents different themes. Blue is often associated with magic, red with hyper-violence, black with death and sorcery, white with honor and armies, and green with being a disgusting human being. I know this because I'm a green player.
There's nothing wrong with green. It's just which goes to blue. Then it gets bad.
Ugh, spoken like true green players.
Who the fuck is the player, mate?
And we will be trying in our own ways, again, as per the disclaimer, trying in our own ways to sort of represent these Primarchs with these colors as best we can.
All I'm going to say, three of the people here have made decks with green in.
Yeah.
I have not. So keep that in mind. Because my cards are going to be the best.
No, but only one of us here, coincidentally, the person who has not done the green thing, recently had one of their commanders banned.
Did?
I wonder who that was.
Huh?
What? Huh?
What?
Didn't you lose what's his face to the recent wave of the red guy? I've forgotten his name.
I lost Dockside Extortion,
pirate dude.
my Duretti deck.
He's not a commander.
He's a 99.
Yeah.
Oh, is he not? That's my bad.
Ah, you fool.
my
You
bad.
outed yourself.
He's
Death by
just a
stoning.
guy.
I have. Yeah, my bad. That one's on me.
But yes,
To be fair, I unboxed a. This is just for the Magic the Gathering fans out there who know their Magic stuff. I unpacked 2 Nardus the day before Nardu got banned. It's hilarious and so dumb, but such is life. Right, so, gentlemen and audience, shall we have a look at our first Primarch?
Yes, it's you.
Yes.
It's me. So the order in which we're doing this, we do have a little bit of a vague order, just to make it so that each one of us can go after the other. So the first one is, in fact, won by me, and it is none other than Roboute Guilliman.
Roboute!
So,
Roboute
Guilliman. I have brought in as a 2 mana, 1/4. And so, just before I get into this, one of the things I really like about Magic versus, say, something like Hearthstone is that Magic does a really good job of saying, hey, we know this card is like a huge and powerful guy. However, we're not going to have that reflect his stats. We're instead going to have his stats be just an extra thing that complements their abilities, right? And so the thinking behind Roboute Guilliman was very simple. We actually had Wizards of the Coast release a card for Marneus Calgar a while back. And one of Marneus Calgar's abilities was for 6 mana, you can create 2 white Astartes warrior creature tokens with vigilance. And so I thought, okay, well, I want something like that. I want something to complement that, but I want it to be better than that. So I realized just making it 3 mana, but making 1 is exactly the same. You just have more you just have more flexibility to do it with your available mana, right? And so that's his first ability. His second ability is for 2 mana, whether it's white or blue or whatever. Tap X untapped creatures you control. And you can counter target spell unless its controller pays X. And so the idea is Roboute Guilliman is the idea of it's an army building commander. You got to create an army of tokens, and then you've got to use those tokens to go, nuh-uh, counter that shit, get out of here. And so what I've created with this is probably going to be, if this were printed, this would be the most annoying piece of shit to play against known to man. However, I feel as though it is a very good representation of the kind of themes and ideas Roboute Guilliman would bring to Magic the Gathering.
He's a 1/4, so you can't even bolt him, which is infuriating.
Well, I was going to make him a 1/3, and then I realized, wait a minute, hold up. Fanatic of Ronus is a 2-mana 1/4, and he's strong as hell. Like, Guilliman can be a 2-mana 1/4. I also got annoyed because I made him a 1/3, then I realized, like, Marnis Calgar could kill him in one punch. And something about that didn't sit right with me.
I think this is a very interesting design. I think, me personally, I don't think I would have made the creating 2/2s in instant speed, but I think it's very fitting, and it also opens up for some very interesting plays where it's just like, you don't really need to play him until you feel like, okay, now I'm going to play him and I'm just going to swarm the board with Astartes all of a sudden, which is fun. It's a cool. Obviously, you're going to have like a lot of token synergies in this.
It's absolutely a go wide deck. The thing is, you're going to need to create your win condition through other cards in your deck, through other synergies, because he alone is not a win condition. He's basically just here to say, nuh-uh, nuh-uh, I planned for this. He's just counterspell on a stick, but at the cost of needing plenty of prep time,
Yeah. I think that plays very well into the character with like that you have to do a bunch of setup for him to work properly.
Yeah. And I think as well, like, I remember when we had this idea initially, we spoke about this about just over a month ago, and I said I didn't want all of us to do the thing where we try to leech off of the established 40k card set in MTG with the Astartes warrior creature tokens. And despite saying that, I realized when it came time to do Guilliman, that Guilliman was kind of the perfect one to do that to, because Marnis Calgar is the other big Ultramarine character, has that. And I figured if there was a card to harken back to the established stuff, this was going to be it.
See, I partially hate this because thematically you can't have him run the deck with Marnis in it. He can be part of the deck, but he can't be commander of the deck. And that just grinds my gears a little bit.
Well, it's funny you say that because that's absolutely correct, but I think it's kind of that separation between Horus Heresy and 40k, because Marnis Calgar isn't meant to represent the Ultramarines in that deck. He's meant to represent the Imperium, which is why that deck has black in it. Yeah, because black is death and decay, whereas Roboute Guilliman is just white and blue. So you've got, the idea of sorcery and magic and honor and armies and nobility and all that jazz. And obviously he's blue, right? So,
You even gave him nice flavor text to match.
I did. I gave flavor text for the ones I didn't put too much text on that could fit flavor text. I think only one more of mine has flavor text.
I think the choice of colors here is a correct one for Roboute, which is funny because I remember when we started talking about this, you were bouncing ideas with us, and you're like, maybe you should have a green. And both me and Aaron was like, what the fuck are you on about?
Yeah. I still, even though you don't agree with me, I still understand my trail of logic, because my idea at the time was like, Roboute Guilliman is a character who's all about preparation. He's all about supply lines and logistics. And Magic does not have that. And I thought, well, isn't ramp basically a fancy way of saying, hey, what's going on behind the scenes is better than your behind the scenes? And so that was my thinking. But I eventually abandoned that because I realized this idea of having him be a token commander centered around disruption, it didn't really have a place for green, not only thematically, but also I think it would have been way too strong. I think because with green, you have access to just some of the... white gives you shitloads of great token cards. But in conjunction with green as well, then it's just like, that's absolutely out of hand. Yeah. Like, that goes way too hard, I think.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
But again, I'm not a balancing expert. Someone's already typing up there, well, Tom, you didn't actually think about this card. Shut up, I know. I'm not, I don't work for Wizards. Wizards suck at this as well, believe it or not.
Also, you put the 2 in the wrong spot. It should be 2 generic and 1 white. You did that wrong. You suck.
But don't you know this card that came out in Arabian Nights is actually super busted with this interaction? As when Guilliman enters the battlefield, win the game? Come on, man. Did you know about that? Everybody knows about that.
I actually did something similar to that with one of my other ones when I beat myself up for it, but I couldn't be asked to go and change it. The colors in the top right to denote how much they cost and what colors they are, they actually have a set order. And I noticed about an hour before we started recording that I got it wrong on one of the other Primarchs I'd done. And it's bugging the hell out of me.
Oh, no.
It's absolutely bugging the hell out of me. So you'll see it instantly, Moots. Next time one of mine comes around, you're going to go, yep, there it is. Idiot. But no, I feel like this was the one, And again, it was this idea that I wanted to create a Guilliman that couldn't be misconstrued with Guilliman from 40k, right? This is Guilliman 30k. So the Astartes warrior creature tokens with vigilance. Yes, we're taking some inspiration from Marnius Calgar's ability, but really he's just a guy to say, hey, create a white and blue token win condition, and he is there to help enable that, but to not create that under his own sort of steam, I do feel as though the biggest problem with this card, I say this being the guy who made it, right? I think the biggest problem with this card is the only reason that Magic would never make something like this. Actually, I say that they've made some really stupid cards, so never say never. But the only pretending I didn't just say that, the only reason that Wizards wouldn't make this card is because it is just so unfun. It is so ruthlessly unfun. Oh, the Guilliman player has 6 tokens. Well, I guess I better not play anything.
Like, imagine this guy in a St. Augustine deck, or vice versa. Fuck that.
Yeah. To be fair, just imagining a St. Augustine deck, you're already on the wrong track.
Although I will say, in my defense, against that, and I would apply this to all the Primarchs, my sole logic with creating these was as a commander, not as part of the 99. So there's definitely going to be some synergies there that are going to go way over my head.
Oh yeah, I mean, obviously, all these will have, unless they're very specific, like one of mine is, applicability in 99s, regardless of whether or not they're designed to be commander or not.
Yeah, well, I did do one of the Primarchs I did, which we'll get to later on. I did him and then realized, this card is like perfect to be like part of the 99 for a Mardu deck. This isn't a commander. But I'm sticking to my guns and I'm keeping with it because I felt like it was thematic for who he is. So it's like, anyways, do we feel like we've played out Guilliman?
Yes.
I'm going to be honest, gentlemen. I've got nothing to say about it.
Nothing to say at all.
You've all said the words I can say.
Is this like disappointment is so extreme, nothing to say, or like
it's just everyone else has said anything I could think of, and I just
okay.
If I was to think, if I'd put Roboute Guilliman in Magic, what would the first thing that comes to mind? And I said it before we recorded this episode. Yeah, he's got to have some way of countering shit.
Yeah. I feel, and I feel like you're right. I think if this were to be rebalanced, I think it would be talking about maybe just the costings for things. I feel like thematically, though, the actual abilities are fine. Right. So let us move on to the next one. Moots, would you like to introduce Magnus the Red?
I would, and you guys are gonna be like crapping your pants about this one. So this is the third version of the deck. Say hello to of the card. Say hello to Magnus Crimson King, a six mana is it? So 2 generic, 2 blue, 2 red, 3/5, and he says when Magnus Crimson King enters or leaves the battlefield, create the Book of Magnus, a legendary blue equipment artifact token with, as long as this artifact is equipped to a legendary creature, you may look at the top card of your library any time. You may cast the top card of your library if it's an instant or sorcery card, and it's equipped for 3 hybrid blue-red mana. Instant and sorcery spells you cast from the top of your library have Cascade.
My God, you really are an Is It player. This is like Is It shit. This is you haven't made Magnus. You've just made the Primarch of Is It.
This is so. If you reread,
sorry, Boots, go on.
This is Niv Mizzet in a Magnus hat.
so the image I'm getting here, Moots, is you turn your library into the Book of Magnus. Is that what you were going for?
Mm-hmm.
Is you turn your library into the Book of Magnus.
What's the image?
What?
No, the image he's getting in his head. He's saying that he's visualizing that the idea is your library becomes the Book of Magnus in a thematic sense.
So I was saying for the fourth time, the image I'm getting here is were you going for the idea of turning your library into the Book of Magnus? Is that what you're going for?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, that reads nicely. I like that.
So this was very much me trying to make it as flavorful as possible. So when he enters the battlefield, the book appears, but also when he leaves, so that it can be picked up by someone else, like Azek Ahriman or something like that.
Sorry, would you like to explain, before you go into it, would you like to explain to the 40k crowd who aren't super hot on Magic what the relevance of instant and cascade are?
Okay, so well, instants and sorceries don't necessarily have any great relevance to cascade, but cascade itself is a ability or something that you add to a card where whatever you cast, you then start looking for anything in your deck, or you just go from the top and just start peeling the top of your deck until you find a spell with less mana value than the spell you just cast.
So, for example, if I had cast an instant or a sorcery spell that cost 4 mana, with this all set up, after I cast that spell, I then look at the top cards of my deck until I find another spell that costs 4 mana or less, and then I just immediately play that one.
Yes.
That doesn't mean just so that one doesn't have Cascade.
No.
That one wouldn't have Cascade. So it's basically like, if you can get this set up, it's always double bang for your buck, no matter what you're doing.
Mm. And so my idea was to try and make a deck that was all about planning ahead, because it's about manipulating not just the top of your library, but the cards that come after as well. Which
so like Ponder is super relevant.
Exactly. Yeah. So for a while, I actually had, instead of Cascade, I had Discover, which is the better version of Cascade, where you look at things until you find something that is equal to or less, and if you don't want it, you just put it into your hand. But I felt that was a bit too strong, so I felt Cascade was better. So if you cast a Ponder, you're not going to get anything unless you hit a 0 mana spell, I guess. So, but yeah, no, this was just my attempt at making a very flavorful but sort of generically good Izzet commander. Like I think I could put this guy as the commander of my Izzet deck and just run that pretty normally.
Yeah, well, I think as well, it's an ability that uses. It's a pair of abilities that use established ideas in the game, both in the sense that one of them is, hey, listen, you need to generate this artifact, and then you need to generate this equipable artifact, and you need to pay to have that artifact attached to something. And there's ways of making that cheaper. There's ways around that. I know there's ways it has of doing that at lower costs, right? So you can factor that into your deck as well, because essentially, at face value, you're looking at 9 mana to get this set up. Yeah. But really, we know in a well-rounded Izzet deck, probably not going to be paying that. You're probably going to find some way of getting discounts in there. But regardless, it's got a very clear line of, here's your setup, here's your second step of setup, here's your payoff. And the payoff, if the deck is built properly around it, I see that payoff being really strong. But so here's the thing the audience doesn't know. I am a Simic player in rehab. In a sense that I have some feelings and emotions about myself as a Simic player that I've not yet dealt with. So whenever Moot talks about being an Izzet player, I project those emotions onto him. And so I have said some very nasty things about Izzet players.
Do you take any of them back?
I'm aware it's a character flaw. That being said, I, as someone who thinks Izzet players should be taken outside and shot, I can totally see the thinking here. I can totally see the pipeline. This seems really balanced to me, and it seems fun and thematic as well. And so it hits all those key notes. I think personally, the only change I would make to this, again, face value as someone who doesn't want to step anywhere near Is It because I don't hate myself. So I'm projecting right now. I would consider making him a bit cheaper, not necessarily a lot cheaper, and not necessarily making his ability cheaper. I would just maybe consider that 5-mana slot instead of 6,
That's
perhaps.
reasonable.
But really, that's like more of a nitpick than an actual criticism. So I think it's really good.
Yeah, no, sorry, go on.
So I was going to say, it's very Esmeralda Caldecott of you. This fucking card. No.
I'm going to take that as a compliment.
I'm going to say,
yes.
From the layman's perspective, I find myself in a lot more often, not being as Is It or Simic or CDH player as some of the people here. If I was to look at this card on paper, I'd think, that looks horrific to face. I would be 100% wrong. But it's one of those commanders where, like, the first time you face him, you're like, well, that was fucked up. And the second time you face him, you're like, well, maybe it's not that fucked up. Like, it's a little fucked up, but, you know.
Yeah. But that's the standard anti-Is It mindset, though, isn't it?
As long as you imprison him in the moon and blow up the one book he has, it's not an issue.
Yeah, the word Cascade instills me with great fear, always.
But you know what's funny about this? I've realized this. I mean, again, as part of a 99, this is like an instant for a fucking Wooburg deck. But not just that as well. There is so many ways in Magic to steal people's artifacts. Could you imagine being like, I don't know, a Simic player or a zombie player, or literally, or someone playing a big deck of some kind, and just stealing the Book of Magnus through some capacity? Like, that is shenanigans are afoot. I'd love that. That would be so funny. And so this card has fun value as well, right?
It'd be very swingy, because if you're not running lots of instants and sorceries, it wouldn't be that good. It'd actually just put a lot of your good shit to the bottom of your library.
Well, I think it's I think it's so as well. I think it's very interesting, and I sort of purposefully made it so that the most of like the setup is tied to the book itself.
Yeah,
because not that Magnus is worthless without his book, but there is already a lot of top deck manipulation and play things from the top of your library cards in Magic. So even if you get rid of the book itself, you like have a lot of things that Magnus will still help like make better.
And I just want to say, compared to the Wizards Magic Magnus, I think he's far
the
more
40k Magnus,
I think
that, absolutely. This is way more interesting, yeah.
But that one is 5 mana, which is quite funny, since we were talking about that earlier.
Yeah. Well, you guys should have seen the old versions of my Magnus card, because that was, I don't know what the fuck I was thinking, honestly. I was on the
crash smoking.
And so, like, originally the Book of Magnus made instant and sorcery spells you cast from your hand one generic cheaper for each instant or sorcery you cast previously. And instant and sorceries had discover X equal to their discovery cost. So, and then I realized, wait a minute, this is crazy. That's not.
It's the kind of shit dreamed up after smoking that Niv Mizzet Parun pack.
That
What was it we talked about before, Moots? It was the Eldrazi boof or something. It was the.
That's the Magic the Gathering nightmare rotation.
All is dust.
But then it's now some sort of Eldrazi tentacle. Fuck.
Right, gentlemen, how do we feel about Magnus the Red? We happy to move on?
It, but I love it.
Yeah, it's okay. I don't hate it because it's Magnus. I hate it because it's Is It, which is very different.
It's super thematic.
Is it really?
It's super nice. I'm going to throw a brick at anyone who brings this to a table.
All right, Croc, well, let's see what you've got then. Show us Lionel Johnson.
So you've been smoking.
So before I post Mr. Lionel Johnson, there was 2 versions of this card I made. He had 2 major versions. The first was more Legion thematic, and I want to mention it because I want to talk about the Deathwing ability, which I really loved, and I can't get over it. The Deathwing ability allowed you to...
Do you want to talk about that after the end of the card rather than like at the start?
Where's he gone?
I knew it. He's cruel.
He's not even showing up. He's not even showing up on my Discord. So I'm gonna have to open the card manually. There he is. So introducing Lionel Johnson, first son.
What is this wording?
The word, okay, ignore the wording because I made this guy third.
He
I came back to the wording
destroys another creature in combat.
just ignore the wording. You understand the meaning, okay? You understand what I was going for.
Read it out to us. Explain it.
Lionel Johnson, first son, is a 6-mana 4/4 Knight Primarch with first strike, haste, and ward 4 generic. He's the only one I get made really fucking difficult to get rid of. Because the whole idea is when he hits the board, he doesn't leave, and he just fucking goes. He's there, and he's going to kill stuff. So, in effect, I'm gonna layman's terms it because the language doesn't match up according to you guys, you fucking nerds.
Do you want to read it out verbatim anyway, then explain it?
Okay, so he is a first strike, haste, ward 4 generic 4/4 that has Slayer of Beasts. When Lionel Johnson, first son, destroys another creature in combat, exile it rather than send it to the graveyard. Each creature exiled this way that has a converted mana cost of 4 or greater, Lionel Johnson, first son, gets +1/+1. Then has a 2 generic and 1 red, fight target creature you don't control ability. So the whole idea with him is he hits the board, and he just shows up. He fucking, Edgar Markov indicates a target permanent. And when he kills the big beasts, the 4 mana or greater ones, he gets bigger because his ego's inflated by it. He's more prideful.
I'd probably change the +1/+1 to a +1/+1 counter to get some more synergistic green bits to make him really big. But other than that, I think this is funny. I think
it's super thematic as well. I like that you've given him Ward 4 because it kind of represents that. It kind of represents that notion that he is not. He is not easily removed. You know, I think that was the idea. It's like you can remove Lionel Johnson. It's just going to be really painful to do so. Haste makes sense. First strike makes sense. The ability makes sense. Yeah, it's oozing with thematics. It's oozing with options. It's one of those cards where you play and you instantly feel the threat. You know, you instantly feel the threat. You feel the presence. And the worst thing as well, or the best thing, is like as soon as he's played, the entire table knows that the countdown has started because at some point he's going to get too big. And I've noticed as well that ability. Correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen, but that ability you've given him at the end, that's instant speed.
It is.
So if you're a Gruul player, it means you have access to green, which means you have access to ramp, so you have access to potentially shitloads of mana. You can just go, okay, it's Lionel Johnson time, and smash that button 10 times, make him a 14/14, clear the board, and then you look at your opponents and you say, right, if you can't get rid of the lion now, you're fucked.
I love the bit where Lionel Johnson, first son, Johnson all over the place, man. But with green, there is so many 1 mana, like fights target creature you don't control stuff. So that's really, in the worst case, your fullback is paying 3 mana for it rather than 1 with a green or something.
Yeah, I think...
I love the thematics of him just being a duelist, like a fighter. You know, he's just always fighting everything else. And also I'm really happy you put the mana cost 4 or greater only to trigger the thing, because otherwise, you know, kill a bunch of like 1/1s and just do.
The idea specifically was that it's Slayer of Beasts, not Slayer of little peasants in like with little plate armor.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I think Aaron's right. Maybe +1/+1 counters instead, because then you can do. Is it doubling season? Is that the double counters one?
Oh god, doubling season.
Doubling season. You've got
doubling season. This guy.
Talent, you've got hardened scales. You've got There's loads.
I actually think it's. I mean, me personally, I think it would be more interesting if it would be a until end of turn ability, because then you could still potentially trigger it multiple times during one turn, and since his ability doesn't require him to tap, you can still use it during your opponent's turn, and because then I don't know. I feel like me personally, I would like have it be +1/+1 until end of turn for each cost 4 or greater.
I think you've got a point.
Mana. Not a chance.
It's like I think you've got a point, but I think if you were going to do that, that instant speed ability needs to be 1 mana, not 3.
Yeah.
Because for 3 mana to have it, for 3 mana to have that shit just be a temporary ability, it's like suddenly you're not playing as a commander anymore. This isn't a deck commander. This is just a dude who just occasionally gets rid of the board.
Oh, no.
I think you want to be careful not to just make a board wipe on a stick with him, which I think your suggestion kind of does.
No, the opposite.
I have made a terrible mistake, though.
Oh, no.
Oh, this is going to be for all 4 of them as well. He's just a creature.
I've just realized
all of mine are legendary. All mine
he's not even legendary. You can't run him as your commander, you fool!
No!
Actually, I've realized another thing as well. You've written his name completely wrong in all 4 instances. You've written his name completely wrong in all 4 cases.
I made the mistake once, and on MTG Design, if you put a tilde, it just automatically copies the name. So it's the same one mistake repeated 4 times.
So you've actually not named him Lion L. Johnson. You've named him Lionel Johnson after the poet.
Yeah, but the people don't need to know that. You can clean it up in post. Come on, man.
So Croc takes up the...
Does this mean that the Croc's version of the Lion is canonically more gay than I mean, if he is named after the poet, then it's like there is a correlation there.
I was going to say something about Croc taking after the poet, but I decided to hold my tongue.
Jesus Christ!
No, that's where's the women are my favorite guy image?
Women are my favorite guy.
Hold on, I'll forward it over. This is a deep cut for all you Astartes Anonymous diehard fans who have been here since at least 2 years ago.
At least 2 years ago. Oh, yeah. Come on, Croc, post the meme.
Oh, I gotta forward it. Give me a sec.
Post it. Post the meme.
1 second.
It's not funny anymore, Croc.
No, please. He's gonna kill him.
Right, I'll do it myself.
No, it's not that one. It's fucking... It's loading. Give it a sec. My Wi-Fi's bad. I can't help this.
Well, you're slowing it down.
That's gonna load in like 5 minutes. In the meantime,
while we're waiting, I want to know why it would be better. Oh my god! I want to know why would it be worse if the +1/+1 is only until end of turn?
Why would it be worse?
Worse as in worse to play against.
No, as in it'd be worse for you, the player, as playing him.
Yeah, it would be less fun.
It'd be bad.
Tom said it would turn him into a board wipe on a stick.
Oh, because he's saying if you make the +1/+1 temporary, you need to make his fight ability cheaper.
But
so you just go bing across the board.
No,
but you don't need to.
If you don't make it cheaper, then the best case scenario is you're spending loads of mana to get him to wipe the board, and then after you spent loads of mana, after he's wiped the board, you get nothing out of it.
It'd be a 6 mana sort of nothing burger.
It would not even that. You're paying on top of that 6 mana to get him out there, and then all the other mana on top to get him to remove. Like if you've got bloody all of the ramp in the world somehow, then it's at best it's still just an okay play.
It's 12 mana to get a 6/6 first strike,
which is a bit. Yeah, no, I think he needs. I think it needs to be permanent. I think having it till the end of the turn just turns him into a whole load of. Yeah, I'm not going to put that in my deck.
Interesting.
Stop being an is it player, all right?
It's Gruul. It's half of is it, okay? What do you want? I have opinions about red.
Listen, if you put listen. No, I'm not going to make the alcohol analogy. No. I was explaining this to David the other day about is it and the various color combinations, and it's like whiskey is nice. Coke is nice. Sometimes Coke and whiskey are nice. Lemonade is nice. Beer is nice. Sometimes lemonade with beer is nice. But you never put lemonade with whiskey. It's fucking rancid. And that's what being an is-it player is.
The hate.
I would like to remind everyone that I conceded to projection about 20 minutes ago.
Who burned you? Who hurt you, Tom?
You did. Is it player?
No.
Go away. Your infinite Kelemorph combo crap. Get the hell away from me.
I just imagine that fucking meme of Elastaman when he's like pointing with his really long arm.
Elastoman.
Oh, yeah.
Elastoman.
Oh, no, Plastic Man.
Elastoman. Sorry. But you know the one where he's literally sitting on a throne and it's him pointing with a really long arm, and someone changed it to the perspective. This is Tom just going...
This image on the screen.
Yeah, music player. Point. That's what I imagine every time you just call him out. We say, is it play of hatred? That's the image that comes to mind.
I'm going to make an edit of that to flop out whenever we're playing Magic. Oh no, Moops is playing a variant of Niv Mizzet again. Oh yeah.
Oh really? Niv Mizzet's only part of the 99 this time? Come on, Grandpa, let's get you back in the home, okay? Oh yes.
It's like, oh really? There's only 5 different kinds of Niv Mizzet in this deck? Yay!
I'm gonna build a fucking Niv Mizzet tribal, you fucks.
I was gonna say, when are you gonna become a real man and make the Wooburg Niv Mizzet tribal, man?
I mean, if the card was good, I would, but you know,
it's
just not actually interesting in my opinion. But
Alright. Shall we look at my one? Mish?
No. Yes, we must.
Sure.
We must.
I went off the rails a bit of this one. Admittedly.
Interesting.
So next up we have Aaron's Perturabo, Aaron's Mortarion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, admittedly, I did go off the rails a bit looking at this now. But I think it's funny, and I think there's far more going on here than the fucking Wizards Mortarion. A lot of text.
Oh my god!
Why?
Bulgaria's good. Oh my god! I thought Crocs was formatted badly. Holy crap!
It didn't want to work. Okay, it didn't want to work.
You've written him like an actual Warhammer data sheet.
You've written death. You put a space between death and touch.
Is it one word? I never clocked that. Anyway, yeah, death touch,
read the card.
Undying. Ward game.
I'll tell you what, audience. I'm going to do you all a favor. I'm going to remake this card
for
the episode on the screen, so you don't have to look at what Aaron's making us suffer through right now.
I'm going to read it. Yes, so Death Touch, Undying, Ward gain 3 box counters, but we'll get onto that. Ability gives to the grandfather. Whenever you cast a spell with converted mana cost 7, each player takes 2 damage and gains a box counter. If a player has 7 or more posh counters, his ability deals 7 damage instead.
Ooh! Okay.
Creature aura. Creature you control gain +0/+2. If a player has 7 or more posh counters, change the text of Creature aura to creatures you control gain +0/+7. And when this creature attacks, creatures defending player controls get -0, -7 until end of turn.
What the fuck?
7 mana, 7/7 with a focus on 7 posh counters and converted mana cost 7 spells. He is Noggle.
I feel a lot less bad about the one card I've done, which I know is broken now.
It's 7 mana.
This guy's really cool. I will say one thing. Wasn't it pre-heresy? Is the what's the word?
This is pre-heresy. That's why he's still white.
Aaron, the ability, gifts of the grandfather. No one else has done any demon stuff.
Other names and stuff. Fucking, that's whatever.
He was still counters.
He was still Noggle aligned in the heresy. So I was like, God. I freeballed the name, all right? Fuck off.
Wait, hold up. We were doing pre-heresy?
No, we were doing heresy. We just were avoiding all the demon shenanigans because GW's already done that.
That's going to impact a different card I made later on. Don't worry about that.
Captain Irresponsible misunderstands the assignment yet again.
We said heresy, and the chaos shit still happened in heresy.
Yes, but if you were listening to the conversation, you would have heard that we said no shit.
It was like a month ago.
Yes, you had a month to do this.
Besides the point. Explain the card, monkey boy.
So the card is obviously very Nurgle themed. 7 mana commander. It's based around some really good cards with mana value 7. Actually, I realized I had a Google, but so the idea is you ramp to fuck. You play lots of 7 mana spells with Morty on the board, and you make some really beefy like tokens on your side that are gaining +0/+2 just from being there with Morty. And then when someone gets 7 or more things from either recurring Morty after him getting targeted and someone paying the ward to gain 3 pox counters per time, it pops off like sort of mid to late game when people have a bunch of pox counters in theory. And so then when you swing of this guy, you're going to board wipe someone in particular, probably whoever killed Mortarion the most on the way up to here. You can also target him yourself with your own stuff and gain pox counters. Because if a player has 7 or more, not an opponent.
Okay.
So you can build it up that way, so it's yourself that has pox counters.
So I just when I
there's a lot going on. I claimed to be going smoking something when I made this, but I thought it was funny.
This is the worst nightmare. Or when people say reading the cards explains the card, they did not they did not envision this card to be existing. But I just want to say, I'm good bringing this in any deck whenever I know I'm playing against Mortarion.
I'm just saying, he's got a lot more going on for him than the Wizards of the Coast, Morty. This thing is so much of a flavor fail of a card.
Yeah, I think that
mono black 5/6. There's no 7s.
I think that one is really weird.
I'm a little bit sad because one of the things that was true of Mortarion during the Heresy is that he was the alternative Siege Primarch. And I feel like all of that has been just completely missed with this. Which makes me really sad.
Miss you of that shit. If you want to do Siege, you do fucking Perty or...
It's Perty or Morty. It's Perty or Morty.
Yeah, but I knew Perty would be the Siege guy, so I made this guy different. Or else it should be the same thing twice over.
Well, no, because someone else got Perty. I got Perty, so if you got Perty as well, I'd say yeah, but you didn't.
No, but that's what I'm saying. I knew you'd make him into a Siege boy, because that's what he does.
Well, you're wrong, because I haven't done that with Perty. Oh,
well, then you should be disappointed in yourself as well, then.
Well, right? I sort of see the Siege thing, even in this one, because, I mean, it does the thing where, creatures defending player controls gets -7 toughness. So, like, it does, like, whittle down their toughness and all of that. I think design-wise, it's a very interesting card. I like the flavor of, like, all these 7s, but it is one hell of a card.
oh, it's nuts. Yeah. No, there's a lot going on here.
So I think,
but I don't think it needs that much tweaking in order to make it like unnuts, right?
No, like another sub theme I had going in mind of this was copying spells, or like so you'd cast copies, so you'd get 2 triggers per spell. And like if you like Rings of Bright Heart or something, or so on and so forth. Because when you cast a spell, converted mana cost 7, so you can work off that.
So sort of like a Panharmonicon?
So that would be the pox counter sort of thing.
Panharmorticon?
No, he doesn't copy things.
No, okay.
But like you throw stuff in there to get more value out of your 7 mana CMC spells. To get more pox counters spread across the board.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is balanceable. I think the problem is you've tried to stick to the 7 thing. It's one of those cases where, in the name of thematics, you've destroyed the mechanics.
I had my own, but this is one of those cards I made at like 5:30 in the morning when I got up at work. We got to work, and I was like, I've got to do a thing.
Yeah, I mean, forgetting the whole flavor fail, I do think there is like a bone.
Your own preference does not dictate flavor fail.
Aaron, you did not understand the assignment.
No, you said heresy. There's still chaotic shit happening in the heresy. I also
said no demon stuff.
I didn't hear that. Because there's another one of my cards that's demonic. So get fucked.
Yes.
We'll cross that bridge when it comes to it.
But no, I think there is some bones here to make a workable card. I think my only problem is there's just too much going on. He's not just the engine. He is the entire car.
He needs fuel, man.
He's the entire car.
To be fair, Morty would be the guy to drink gasoline. So.
I mean, I know we've talked before about like how a lot of like modern commander design is like creatures that make their own engines go. So I feel like this is very spot on with that. This guy makes himself go vroom.
Here's the one thing Wizard of the Coast does that we don't like. Aaron, you've done this thing very well.
I didn't realize how much of a jumble the text would be in the box until I made it. And then I was like, well, we're here now.
We're here now.
To be fair, ignoring the formatting issues and ignoring also the stimulus, no, can't remember the word, the thing we set out to do, I think there was two really easy fixes to this card that would make him incredibly on brand. Number one, tone down the 7. Number 2, swap pox for attrition.
Yeah. Changing the names of some titles of things could do a lot of work. Yeah.
Because if it's instead attrition counters...
Actually, yeah, literally that, yeah. Just make the numbers more balanced, so not all 7s, and yeah, that actually makes so much sense.
This is one where the Primarchs seemed more to the performance of the Legion than the Primarch. So it's Death Guard, pure attrition combat. All your stuff does the same damage, but just gets harder to kill.
Yeah, I think you kind of have to, with Mortarion, you have to lead more into the Legion than the man, just because the man's a wet wipe.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I didn't want to do, because I like Morty. That's the whole... Just because you have a personal bias...
I like Perturabo. Perturabo is also a wet wipe.
Yeah, I'm not saying he isn't, but I'm saying I'm not going to use that as an excuse to not make the card of him about him, not about himself.
No, that's why I'm agreeing with what Croc's saying.
No, but what Croc's saying is wrong.
There's these things called opinions, Aaron.
This is so fucked up.
I know. No, like I said, smoking a bit of crack when I'm with him, but I thought it was funny.
Well, I'm hoping, I'm praying, man. I'm praying that the next ones are a bit less cracked. But you know what? It's like I said, I did say at the very start that these cards are, and how we've all done them differently. It's like there is kind of a level of looking at us as Magic players and as theory crafters that are going to sort of leak into how we've individually done cards and the things that make our cards different. Not just from Commander cards or Primarchs, but from each other as well. And this is absolutely the gold standard of that.
No, he is the most silly out of the ones I've made. So it's kind of funny if you got done first.
Well, I'm quite glad. Apart from the criticisms that I have levied, I'm actually quite happy that you've done this, because there is one card I've done that will show up in a fair while that is cracked, and this makes me feel a lot less bad. I'm not gonna lie. Right, does anyone else have anything else to say about Mortarion, or shall we move on to the next one?
Right idea, wrong movement.
Right idea, wrong movement. Okay.
Yeah, right ballpark, wrong spot.
I think I think my closing words on it is an interesting design. I don't think it would take a lot to make it as, how would you say it? What's the word? Make it more, a bit less of what it is now. But
I mean, that's why I put him at 7 fucking mana, to be fair.
I think it's interesting.
Get what you pay for.
Yeah. Right. Anything else for Mortarion?
Nope.
No.
Excellent. So next one is Perturabo, and this one was done by me.
You?
Wow.
Me!
Is that Astartes Anonymous Thomas?
Is that Tom of Astartes Anonymous fame?
And here is Perturabo. So Perturabo I've done as a 5 mana 3/4 Primarch Artificer. When Perturabo Siegemaster enters the battlefield, search your library for an artifact card with mana value 1 or less. Reveal it, then put it in your hand. Automata creature spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each automata creature spell in your graveyard. Bracket. Artifact creatures, constructs, golems, robots, automaton creatures are automatas. End bracket. So I was kind of inspired by my current deck that I play at the moment called Kinesos, which is the idea of trying to build a mixed tribe deck that has a multi-theme and multi-synergy. And so he's basically he's a tutor on a stick, but his engine is to essentially say the more robots the more automatas you play, the more you can play automatas. And so it's kind of like all of the big like robot style things just work. And the fact that I wanted to put that that little fetch thing on there as well to kind of represent the fact that he is a tinkerer, he is a builder, he can create stuff. If you need him to at turn 5 and you're like, okay, I'm just going to make a soul ring, or turn 5, I'm just going to pull out some kind of signet of some variety or something of that general effect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's where my head was at with this one. But really, it's just this idea of a very simplistic thing. Because coming back to what we were talking about with Mortarion and this idea of siege and attrition, I realized that I didn't want it to portray the Iron Warriors. I wanted this to portray Perturabo. And one of the things I always remember about Perturabo is he genuinely fucking hates most of his legion. So much so that when one day when he almost got assassinated, he basically dismissed his entire honor guard, said "fuck off," and built his own brand of automata to replace them. And then from that point onwards, those automata were his most trusted men, and they were literally just straight up robots.
To be fair, and can you blame him? Iron Circle, so fucking cool.
The Iron Circle are cool. The Iron Circle are very cool. I imagine if this, much like in the same way, Moots, where you did with Magnus, you hypothesize, well, maybe Ahriman could, I would expect that in some hypothetical Horus Heresy set, there would be the Iron Circle card floating around somewhere as well, right? That would somehow have extra synergy with this.
Well, for sure, yeah. I think this is really interesting, and there's a bunch of funny shit you can do with this. That now this one specifically is colorless, but there's also a blue variation of this.
Yeah.
Where you can make everything in your deck into a automata, like a construct or something, and suddenly you're gaming. It's
yeah, absolutely. I mean, but as we found out with the Kinesos deck, it's like even though the restrictions on certain tribals can be really quite limiting, with enough brute force you can make it work. And I would be willing to say that the sea creatures deck with leviathans, krakens, octopus, and serpents, I'd say that's more limiting than this. Artifact creatures, constructs, golems, robots, and automatons. You get the which is the huge one? Blightsteel and who's the other one?
Darksteel.
Darksteel, yeah. So you get both of them are straight up. All the other big dudes as well, So I think this is a big deck in disguise, because what you're essentially doing, what I considered doing, but didn't at the last minute because I thought it could be a little bit problematic, was I did have an idea in my head where I was going to change the automata creature spells cost 1 less. I was going to do a little thing saying that basically, I can't remember how I would have worded it, but it would have basically meant cost 1 less wherever they are. Much like Marswood Nexus, so you could then tutor for a 1 mana Blightsteel Colossus at some point if you had enough, if you'd filled your graveyard enough.
Yeah,
sort of thing. You could flicker him and try and get some silly shenanigans going. But this is it. It's basically I just really wanted to do a mixed tribal with a simple synergy and give him a little add-on to represent that he is a tinkerer.
Yeah.
I also think he's the perfect Primarch to have the obviously the artificer sort of modifier on the end as well, right?
Well, yeah. And I mean, artifacts is a really strong archetype in Commander or in Magic in general. So I think it was interesting that you added it specifically to artifact creatures. I was just thinking, wouldn't it have been easier to just say all artifact creatures are automata instead?
But I do.
Yeah. Well, you list out a couple of other things. Like I think you could have just said automatas or artifact creatures are automatas.
I think it's because don't quote me on this. I think I found some examples where there was a robot or a golem or something that wasn't also an artifact creature.
Okay. All right.
Some fringe shit. Don't quote me on this, but I think I just wanted to make sure I was covering all my bases.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense. I think this is interestingly enough a commander that don't actually need a whole lot of setup to be able to do some really goofy and strong shit quite quickly. So I think this is a pretty high power level commander, or it has lots of potential at least.
Well, it's I think one of the things I like with certain commanders is this idea that you can contribute to their engine before they're playable. And so you could choose to build this in a bunch of different ways. You could choose to build this in a more aggressive Rakdos style deck by chumping out or having shitloads of card draw through blue and loads of aggressive creatures via red and black, and just kind of cycling through your deck as your creatures just getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. Or you could do a big style deck.
I mean, the easiest way to build this would just be run a bunch of artifact creature anthem enablers. So stuff like Adaptive Automaton and other like construct-esque bits where it's like, oh, they will get +1/+1 or +2/+0 or +0/+2. And you just stack as many of those in the deck as you can, and off you go. You bring them in and you're paying nothing for these fucking 8-9 creatures.
Yeah, well, it's a hard one. I think anthems are a hard one though, because it's like I found out with the Knessos deck, which is again mixed tribal. Often stuff that helps tribes will only help one tribe, and so when you've got something that is like, hey, listen, we want all of these tribes, you've kind of got to pick and choose what is actually there to help and what's not. And so I think it would lead to more mid-range play rather than necessarily trying to make all of your artifact creatures massive.
I can't tell if you're joking right now, because you made the card. You said they're all automatas. So all these anthem things, you just pick automata, and everything would get it.
Yeah, but shut up. So,
well, no, not necessarily, because no, that wouldn't work because automata is a custom thing specifically for him. It's not a creature type per se.
Yeah,
it's something that only exists whilst he is on the board.
That's true.
Much like in the same way that Omo's everything counters, even though you can put everything counters on all sorts, they aren't something that exists when she's not on the board.
Oh no, but it would still apply for while he's on the board.
Yeah, but you can't. It's not a creature type. He
makes you're making a new creature type with this guy. Like I made Poch counters. This is a new creature type you've made.
Well, maybe I think what we're saying is that Tom didn't intend it for that purpose. It didn't intend that way, so we can assume that the line of text should be a bit different to make it not a creature type.
Perhaps,
well, if you wanted to change it to artifact creatures in your hand cost 1 less, that would be more applicable.
I think we've established that the physical wording can be altered in post to sort this problem out.
Yeah.
This is just rough draft.
Yeah.
Mr. Mortarion.
But otherwise, you just build a massive tribal super buff that only applies while he's on the field, because your Adaptive Automaton would be set to automatas, and then if Perturabo dies, and you bring it back in, it just gets turned on and off again.
What I'm saying is that automatas aren't a creature type.
No, but this makes them a creature type.
Yeah, but we're saying that that's not what he intended for the card effect to be.
No, but I make what we intend. That's what he's done, though, by accident. That's what he's done.
But
it wasn't on purpose. But that is what that reads as.
But we're working on the assumption that that's not how it should work.
Yeah.
So stop being so autistic.
No,
stop
I'm not being autistic. There's no other way that works. That's rules as written on the card. Reading it explains it.
I will say, which is something I'm going to say a lot, I really like Perturabo. I think you've gone for the third alternate direction where it's not his combat style, it's not his legion style, it's his personal style of building little robots because he has no social skill. And
it's his lifestyle.
I will say, I really like it because it is somewhat in a similar vein to how I've done Dawn, which we'll see later on. But I'm not going to spoil anything. I really like this card.
You don't need to. That already makes me happy. That already makes me happy. Right. Speaking of moving on.
Hold up. I want to say the only thing I think maybe I would change about Perturabo is make a limit to how much the cost reduction can go, because otherwise I think there's a very, very easy setup where you just don't have to pay any mana at all for your automatas.
Mm.
Well, unless they have color pips, it's only generic mana.
Unless they have color pips, yeah. I think like you.
Well, I mean,
maybe that's just me. I could theoretically see an argument for adding like this.
I think
this can't be reduced to 0 or something.
I get what you're saying, and I think you're right. I think it just takes it would take a much bigger review of the kind of artifact creatures, constructs, golems, robots, etc., to determine like how not only how that would be possible, but to determine how powerful that would be. Because there's a lot of cards in Magic that go infinite on just 2 cheap ass cards, and if this can go infinite on a card that's 5 mana plus some other setup amongst some other things, there may also be an equally valid argument that says, well, it's possible, but it's probably not that powerful comparatively.
Yeah, like there's so many ways to enable 3 artifact creatures. Microsynth Golem with Microsynth Garden. That's hey, look, every single everything's an artifact, and everything you cast has affinity for artifacts. So that's my Blightsteel for 3. That's X equals 14 for 3. It's not a hard thing to make, so it's not unseen before. So I think it's fine.
Yeah, but then I think then the problem with that is, I mean, I'm agreeing with you, but then the problem is that as we will sit here making the one grave and fatal mistake, which is assuming that Wizards of the Coast has any idea what the fuck they're doing.
I mean, this deck's mortal enemy is a common one, and that is the fucking Bajuka Bog. All right.
That's it. That's it. All resurrection decks. All graveyard decks.
Bajuka Bog kills this man. It shoots him dead in the streets of New York. Okay.
If you play Bajuka Bog against this, you get in your mind's eye an image of Perturabo being surrounded by his iron circle and seeing a single flash as he puts his big old arm cannons up to his mouth and pulls the trigger.
Just in case anyone is still listening to this and you don't understand Magic, Bajuka Bog just destroys your graveyard. Your graveyard goes in the bin, so you count as having no graveyard, ostensibly.
You play a single land and shut down any Graveyard Matters deck instantly. Like an entire multiple turn setup. Haha, land.
It's a one-time effect, but it's really good. And I've only been hit by it once, but it stings every time just as much.
Horrible. I play a Insect Tribal Golgari deck, and it's hit me so many times. My bug get sent into the fucking AFO.
Right, gentlemen, let's move on to the next one. Moots, would you like to give us Leman of the Russ?
Leman of the Russ, indeed. This is also version 3 of the Primarch, and this was the one that I had the most trouble designing. I was not sure for the longest time how to design this guy, but I'll just get right into it. So this is Leman Russ, Emperor's Executioner. He's a 5 mana, 2 generic, black, red, green, aka Jund, 5/4, with Menace, Trample, and Ward 2. And he says, whenever Leman Russ, Emperor's Executioner, attacks, create a tapped and attacking green 2/2 wolf snow creature token. He's a legendary snow creature as well.
I just saw the snow bit. I was like, you fucker.
And he has also other attacking snow creatures you control have +2/+0 and Menace. So he is a Snow Creature Matters commander. And I wanted to specifically make a version of him, which is the one, well, as you can see on the art and based on the title, this is the Burning of Prospero version of Leman Russ. And for the longest time, I wasn't sure where to go with this guy. For a moment, I was playing with the idea of having instead of red, having white, so he would be a black, white, green creature, and he would put +1/+1 counters on things and things like that. But I really like the Jund aspect. Another one was that at one point I had a version of him where he would destroy non-basic lands to signify the destroying Prospero. And the city of Tiska. So and I had it to be like pay 1 black, 1 red, 1 green, discard a non-creature card, destroy target non-basic land.
Sorry, I've just realized a big problem with this card.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I kind of briefly spoke about this the other day.
Mm-hmm.
There is a problem with giving him snow synergy and giving him the colors you've given him.
Oh, yeah.
And that's that most snow creatures and spells are blue.
Yes.
And white. White and blue is the most common. So his pool of things he can actually give synergistic benefits to is actually fuck all.
Nah, I think it's absolutely possible to build a deck around it, though.
I've just brought it up on Scryfall. You can count them on both hands. There's fuck all.
all right. But this isn't a hypothetical set where they've released more
yes, the Horus Heresy Space Wolves Legion came out too with 30 snow creatures never before seen. Yes,
exactly. So so that's all. We can fix that. It's up to Watsy.
We can fix it. We can fix Magic the Gathering. We're not qualified, but trust us, we can fix it.
We can fix it. Depending on what your definition of fix is, it might be a little worse than it was before.
Well, exactly. Well, see, all Watsy needs to do is they just need to print all of our designed commanders with their own precon, and that will fix it. All right, trust us.
I feel like the one change for this guy would be some sort of haste inclusion, whether or not that's trading one of his keywords for haste or just adding it on for 5 mana as a 5/4. I think it's reasonable with his lack of creatures to work with. It just shows off. Obviously, aggressive boy. He's normally on some sort of fucking mount. It works out.
I mean, you're playing red. There is a lot of like haste additions you can do to just give him haste.
This is true. It also gives him instant value though when you play him and you swing and get your 2/2. That becomes a 4/2.
But that's the idea was that you wouldn't need to have him have haste because his last ability is a static one, where as long as you have snow creatures on the battlefield, they still benefit off of his effect. So
if you had to have none, having haste would make one to instantly give that to, is what I was thinking.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
I was thinking just because if you have none and you cast him and he has haste, you can then swing and make one that then gets +2 in menace on the spot.
Well, you see, I'm not out to make
5 and doing nothing.
I'm not out to make the most optimal commanders. I'm out to make cards that are fun.
He wants to make, in other words, he wants to make an engine, not the car.
Well, no,
exactly.
It's just no. Are you saying Leman Russ shouldn't have haste characteristically?
Look,
grammatically?
all I'm saying is that he's called the Emperor's Executioner. Your opponent should feel like they're being executed. Make it enters or attacks.
Well, in the previous versions, he created both on enter and attack, but I thought that was a bit overkill.
Exactly.
No, I think it's fine. I think as well, like there is, and this is kind of the mistake you're going to see one of my Primarchs later. I've given him too many keywords.
I'm a sucker for keywords as well.
But this is the thing as well. You've got menace, trample, and ward, and also multiple effects that go off when he attacks. It's like, how much more do we need to say that when he attacks, the shit hits the fan? I don't think haste is like super necessary.
I think that's sort of my idea as well. It's he will make your other snow things scary, and he's not necessarily super easy to get rid of just because of the ward too. But
I just noticed the flavor text, by the way. That's really good. My poor brother. I want him to see us coming. I want him to know it'll never be too late for him to beg for mercy.
Yeah.
That's such a good fucking bit of dialogue there.
Oh, he is a scumbag.
Yeah, no. I don't dislike this at all. I don't dislike it at all. It does feel, I think the only problem I have with it is, on one hand, it's mechanically, it's sound. I see where you're going with it. My only problem, it's a bit of a vague problem, so it's kind of hard to say, have an answer for it, is that to me, he feels a little bit directionless thematically.
Yeah.
I think you were kind of worried about the same thing as well, because I know you struggled with this one in particular.
Yeah. He was the last one I did, and for the longest time, I was like, where the fuck do I go with this guy?
Yeah.
I feel like that's sort of emblematic of his character itself and like what he does in the heresy, where it just made me a bit unsure. Like, I think you could replace you could replace the red with like a white, and I feel like then it'd still be in his colors, like, so to say. I remember us talking about like him having blue, and I don't agree with that. I think blue is like planning strategy.
That's it. It's just my thinking for blue. I mean, you're absolutely right. I absolutely get what you're saying, because blue is like, it's the sorcerer. It's the thing. It's the one thing he's not. But blue also, and we come back to snow, blue also contains like 65 to 70% of all the fucking snow cards.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't win no matter what.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. I also want to note the flavor of him having 5 power and the Magnus I made having 5 toughness.
Very smart, yes. I think, do you know what you could have done with this?
What's that?
You could have just made a fucking stupid-ass legendary snow creature who had, like, snow, wolf, and werewolf synergies.
Oh, you could have just made his... you could have just made his wolves. Yeah, you could have had him actually generate his legendary wolves.
Just
I was
have
thinking
all
about
the creatures you
that.
control
Yeah.
get +1/+1 for every mention of the word wolf in the card.
For every instance of the word...
cards as you want.
Literally, for every instance of the word wolf that is on the table, your cards get +1/+1. Is there even, like, a wolf?
That sounds
a wolf
like a
commander?
goddamn unset. Oh yeah.
There is.
Yeah.
There's a few.
Tybor?
Olsmere.
Well, he's werewolf.
Oh yeah.
If it's a creature type that exists in Magic, you could bet your fucking ass there's a commander for it.
We recently got the very cool beast one, so there's definitely werewolf around in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Slins is fucking cool. I do like Slins.
One thing I do really like about this card is it fulfills an archetype, which I don't really... It's kind of present in Magic with some silly stuff. This is a man and his dog deck.
A man and his dog. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
You should make a what's that fucker from Baldur's Gate with the hamster? Boo.
Minsk and Boo,
Minsk.
timeless.
Yeah.
You should timeless heroes. You should make Minsk and Boo, Croc. You would like that.
I have considered Minsk and Boo, yes.
Right, gentlemen. Are we good with Leman of the Russ?
Yes.
Yeah. I've got to go piss, so hang on a second.
Okie dokie.
Piss
Right, I'm going to now remove all of Aaron's ones.
Opa. Oh, fucking Sanguinius next.
It is Sanguinius next.
Sangi.
I've got him primed and ready to go. Sanguinius was fun. I'll wait till Monkey Boy gets back first.
Mm-hmm. Also, I was going to ask, should we maybe try and speed this up a bit? We've gone through 7 out of 18 in 1.5 hour.
We can try, but no one wants to feel shortchanged. So what we can do, we can cut this out, please, Lackey. What we can do is we can look at some of them and be like, okay, which ones can we get through quickly? I know I can get through Curze quickly, so I can mark that one for me. What are my other ones? I can get through Ferrus Manus quickly, but I would like to spend a little bit of time on Horus. So if I get through those quickly, Croc, which do you reckon you can pick another one or two of yours that you can get through a bit faster?
Sang will be really quick because his ability is incredibly straightforward.
That's good. Okay,
Mr. Sanguinius, the Red Angel.
Whoa! Gold border, nice.
So Mr. Sanguinius, the Red Angel, had about 4 different versions. The initial one revolved around getting presence counters, and then he turned into the Red Angel. But that was really difficult to do, so this is what we got instead. Sanguinius is big. He's a 5-mana Evil Azorius flying first strike. 6 mana, 6 mana Evil Azorius flying first strike Vigilance Angel Primarch. That's it. With the ability Presence. At the beginning of your post-combat main phase, exile the top X cards of your library, where X is the amount of life opponents lost this turn. You may play and cast cards exiled this way without paying their mana cost if the converted mana cost is less than or equal to X. And he has red first. Whenever a creature dies in your combat step, Sanguinius the Red Angel gets +1/+0. This card, you pay 6 mana and tear your opponent's anus wide open. He just goes.
I got one thing to say. And that's a damn good fucking thing this guy is not Orzhov. Mother of God.
I immediately, so when I made this guy, I immediately made him red-white on the premise that, it's just, it's aggro angels, that makes sense.
Is the +1/+0 until end of turn, or is it permanent?
No,
it's forever.
Oh God. What the fuck is it? +1/+0 counter. I didn't even know that existed.
No, it's a static effect was the best way I came up with it. So he literally just, it's +1/+0. He just goes up. There's nothing to stop you removing this guy, but if you don't, he goes.
Because he's a kill on sight, yeah.
This guy's fucking nuts. This is a crazy commander.
This
There's
is,
so
at the end of the
many
day-
ways to
This
get.
is the guy you asked me about wording for, wasn't
Yes.
it? About how you.
This is-
yeah.
This is the one where I kind of got stuck, and for the sake of just getting on to the next, this is what we're it's unashamedly nuts. He just
This is
goes.
a crazy card. Like after Leman Russ as well, where it's like, he's a guy who makes your snow creatures +2/+0 and menace. It's like, Sanguinius, you're gonna cast spells for free, and he's gonna get permanently bigger.
He sees the future and he gets angry about it. That's the whole thing. He is just ridiculous once he hits the board. Which I think
this is a crazy card.
is pretty representative of how Sanguinius is. He's fucking nuts.
I do like it. For 6 mana, you're getting a hell of a lot.
Yeah,
But I do like it.
all things can be tweaked, but honestly, once I finished typing this one out and needed to move on, I just left it because I was happy enough with it. It's nuts, but it's cool.
And the card format looks great as well, the gold border and the art.
Yeah.
It does look actually aesthetically very nice.
Me personally, I put this guy at like 10 mana or something like that.
10 mana?
Yeah.
Okay, I wouldn't say
that
10.
ability. For that ability.
I'll tell you who he reminds me of. There's 2 cards he reminds me of. He reminds me of Apex Devastator. And he reminds me of Atali. It's that kind of level of, oh no. You know what I mean? It's that kind of level of, puckered anus.
It's one of those cards where you know they're about to cast it because you see them, like, you hear them ask the question, so, who's got mana open?
That and the grin that stretches from ear to ear. No, I don't hate it. I think it's just a bit undercosted, but I think as an ability, it's fine. I understand vaguely the mechanics of it. I think
what?
I think maybe if I were to have done Sanguinius, I would have gone down the route of trying to like combine angels and vampires into something really strong and maybe made something a bit more tribal.
I did understand that, but
Yes.
something you'll come to figure out with the next 2 is I kind of didn't take the rest of the game into perspective at all when I made these cards at a certain point. I made the cards to be cool as fuck. Okay,
Tom, you would like a commander called Shilgengar. Go look him up.
How do you spell
okay.
Let me find them for you.
Fucking
Consider this.
Nuts ability.
No, but again, he's unashamedly.
Shilgengar.
Yeah, the angel demon guy.
Oh, I've got a copy of this guy.
You would like this guy. He's dual tribal shenanigans.
Yeah. No, I've got a copy of this guy. Yeah, he's the angel demon dude, right?
He's really fun. From what I've heard, he's really funny. White. Yeah.
Right. Let's move on. Unless anyone's got any more Sanguinius business to cover. Next,
I'd say just price wise, you could probably, if you got a first strike and maybe bumped down the severity of red first, you could possibly justify more of a 7 cost or 8 cost rather than like 10 or 9 or something stupid.
That's fair.
This card
maybe
scares me.
temporary per turn.
Well, that's the idea. If Sanguinius himself hits that fucking pose in front of you, the metaphysical wizard who's on the other side of the table, like, that's game. You are doomed.
Yeah. Smash Bros. Game fucking thing. Yeah. Right. What are we on to now? Is it Vulcans or Corvus?
Next up is indeed Vulkan. Aaron, before you post it, just let me center myself emotionally. All right, I'm ready.
I give you no time.
No title.
Oh my god, you actually went with the most decrepit art known to man.
I was gonna use a different one. Let me find it. I was gonna use this one and have it be like a Modern Horizons 3 side art one. You know, the ones I'm talking about, the side shots.
I like how you've just abandoned using all the tools that the card generator thing had, and you've just written tap instead of using the
Oh,
thing.
did I not fix that? Oh, sorry, I forgot I gave him a tap ability. I fixed it on a different one, and I forgot I gave Vulcan a tap ability.
This is one of those cards where people who are actually watching the episode are like, huh? But this doesn't match. What's going on?
Yeah, no,
This is like going to be the one
my bad.
time that I know someone who is a really big Salamanders fan, Aaron, someone who's a really big Salamanders and Vulkan fan is just going to disappoint all of the other Salamanders and Vulkan
Oh my
fans.
God.
I'm having fun here, man. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
trying to be like it's super accurate. I'm having fun. All right, fuck off. And so some episodes of shitpost.
That's good. That's good. Oh,
You're gonna have some fucking super silly ones, but yeah, no.
explain the card for us, please.
Yeah, 6 mana, Naya. I thought it seemed relatively sound color-wise. The white-red is more of his morality, and the green is obviously for the salamanders, and said shit like that. He's also big for growth and stuff like that, so it works out. Trample Menace, 7/5, big boy. Perpetual. If this card be put into the graveyard from the battlefield, return to the battlefield at the beginning of your next upkeep. So he just comes back if he dies, because obviously that's what he does. You could possibly do like a turn or two, like maybe like you could possibly like stifle it, so it's like not next turn but the one after that if you wanted to, if you thought that was a bit strong. But I thought it represents him coming back again and again. Master Craftsman. When Vulkan enters, create a copy token of each artifact token you control. So he comes in and he doubles your artifact tokens. 6 mana, boom. You're rolling in it.
I play Panharmonicon. I have 3 Panharmonicons.
No, it's
it has to be
artifact token you control.
Yeah, it has to be tokens first.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not unreasonable. It's not like, I'm going to double all my artifacts.
Mostly you're thinking of things like
treasures, blood. You got all your goods.
Clues.
Yeah, all your servo mirrors, stuff like that. Your foxes, da.
Yeah.
The completely useless piece of synergy of turning all your copies into hammers.
And then we've got his last ability called It's Also a Hammer.
That's
where you tap him. Oh no, it's not a hammer creature type, you fucking cretin.
You don't format your cards properly. You don't even do like the fucking italics and the dash. I genuinely thought you made copies of everything.
There's a whole line in between it, alright? I don't want to talk about it. When Lionel Johnson destroys another creature in combat, okay, dude? Shut up. Tap Vulkan. Tap Vulkan deals X damage to target creature, planeswalker, or player equal to the number of artifact tokens you control. So he comes in. He's a big presence. You swing with him, or you can tap him and hit someone with the hammer for a lot of damage equal to your resource that you've gained from playing.
I think the only problem I have, generally speaking, I like the direction. I think the only problem I have is I think the perpetual ability should have something to make it less like automatic. From a thematic standpoint, it makes perfect sense. I think from a gameplay standpoint, it's just boop permanent Vulkan.
Well, no, it's only if he be put into the graveyard, which means destroyed or killed in combat. So if he gets exiled, he gets bounced, he gets flickered, or he gets put into your library. It's only if he dies in that sense. He has to
I know, but like obviously he's going to be hitting people, and he's got menace. So like most of his deaths are going to be traditional deaths.
Well, he doesn't got vigilance, so it's either you tap him to deal damage equal to your artifact tokens, or you swing with him.
Well, there is a card. I think it's called Darigas. Let's see if I can find it. Maybe it's not that one. Oh no, it is. Where can I find the card I'm thinking of? There we go. Reincarnated. That says if you would die, you instead exile it with 3 egg counters on it, and at the beginning of your upkeep, if it is an exile with an egg counter, you remove an egg counter.
Yes, that's the one.
You could suspend him. Yeah, I'll put time count on him. Yeah, that works. That does work. Anything that could balance out a bit more.
I think just giving it a little bit of time kind of changes the dynamic a little bit. It's less of a hey, that
is what I said at the start. Is you could pause it a turn or something like
Well, this kind of means you have to, right?
But it just enables himself more because he re-enters. He makes more artifact tokens. And we go again, and that's the idea.
I think with that, like, if you were to change it that way, maybe like replace one of the menace with like haste. But that's also I think thematically trample and menace works perfectly well. And
he's a big man. He's like a big man.
He is a big man. He doesn't necessarily like run and gun in immediately, because I feel like either way, because he just has because of his tap ability and because of he's already pretty very good ETB effect, he doesn't necessarily need haste.
No, exactly. Yeah. No, that's what I was thinking. So it was just he doesn't need it.
Yeah. Oh, it's a cool design. I like it. I like it that he copies tokens specifically. It's I mean, I love a Panharmonicon effect. God, I got a whole deck about ETB and Panharmonicon effects. So like, I think it's very funny. That's cool.
Sweet. Crop.
I ain't got much more that I haven't already said for this guy. Yeah, he keeps himself in line with it being tokens rather than artifacts.
Yeah.
He's big beefy. Because Vulkan is big beefy. I am just sad that it's just Vulkan. Just Vulkan. Everyone else, it's like, it's fucking
Sanguinius the Red Angel.
Leman Russ, Emperor's Executioner, Perturabo, Siege Master, Vulkan.
all of mine is Vulkan. Mortarion is just Mortarion.
But like Mortarion's name is long. With Vulkan, it's just Vulkan. You know?
I'm gonna play Vulkan. Well, who says? I don't know if you guys were doing the patch. I asked, and you guys went, "Meh," and I was like, "Okay." And so I just put Vulkan.
It just looks funny.
it's just that picture. It's great. It's Vulkan.
Wait, did you are legally required when you play this card to pull that face and say it is also a hammer whenever you tap him?
Sorry, I realized you called Sanguinius the Red Angel. Sanguinius is the Great Angel. Angron is the Red Angel.
I was gonna say that. Yes. I was keeping that for my. I was gonna wait till I put on Angron.
From Lionel Johnson to Sanguinius Angron.
I didn't realize we were throwing in homebrews in this man. Right? Shit. No wonder he's so cracked.
Oh, that's fun. All right. Right, moving on. So the next one is the one that I cooked so much it got burnt. Konrad Curze.
Here we go.
Konrad Curze actually makes direct reference to 6 separate rulings.
So
Konrad Curze is a 4-mana Dimir, 2-mana, 2 open, black and blue, 4/4 legendary creature Primarch assassin with flash, shroud, first strike, and trample, and his spell can't be countered. But that's not even the worst part. That's honestly not even the worst part. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, that player draws 3 cards. And you might be thinking, oh, yay, group hug. No. Whenever an opponent draws a card outside of their upkeep, that card is instead exiled, and Konrad Curze deals 2 damage to that player.
Oh my
God.
So he hits you, he deals 4 damage, and then you take an additional 6 damage because fuck you.
Damn.
And you lose 3 cards to the pit.
Damn.
I know my Morty wasn't good. The fuck is this?
So basically, that's all commander damage as well.
What is the
No. It's commander damage is only combat damage, so you don't actually have to worry about.
He's fine. He's perfectly balanced. Then he's fine.
I
was worried. I mean, he's not perfectly balanced, but I was worried that like he'd be problematic because he would just kill you with 2 hits.
No, Tom. You can give this guy infect with certain artifacts, and he'll just kill someone in 1 hit.
I just thought I'd save myself a little bit. I don't want to go back into the grinder.
You give this guy like I think it's Caldra complete or you give, what's that friction strike the blow on black mana.
Oh, I know the one. Yeah, I know.
And it's like swing 4 ping 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 6 more dead.
So just for the audience,
because I'm playing Dimir, we're going to recur that 2 more times.
Just for the audience,
has countered and shroud. Forget about it, mate.
Just for the audience who don't understand their Magic terms, Flash is an ability which means you can play the card at instant speed. In other words, if you have the mana available, you can play him outside of your turn. Shroud means he can't be targeted by spells.
Or abilities.
First Strike means that when he goes to combat and he beats something, he deals his damage before that thing deals its damage, meaning that he has the possibility to just kill things before they hurt him. And Trample means that any leftover damage from him killing something gets transferred to that thing's player. And I like to think that the words "this spell can't be countered" speaks for themselves.
Tom, this bugs me for so many reasons. Two of which I think are what Mooch will agree with me with, and that's he's got First Strike and Trample into me. You're breaking the color chart here, man. Trample is normally a green ability, and First Strike is normally more of a white ability. That's like Maha having Trample. Doesn't make sense.
I mean, my only response to that is the flavor text I've given him.
I do not expect you to understand. I do not expect you to forgive. Damn. I expect only your screams. Damn.
The only thing that can make this guy worse is the Commander Ninjutsu. By that point, you get with a flash.
He's absolutely cooked. I'm aware of this.
I feel like, Tom, when you made this, you were basically just thinking, I don't like is it. How do I make something that is it won't like? And then you added the whenever an opponent draws a card outside of their upkeep, it's exiled instead.
I mean, I think maybe he's a bit undercosted, and I think maybe one or two of his keywords should go missing. But generally speaking, I'd like to ask us to, as a group, to just forget about the costing and the keywords for a minute and just look at the actual main ability of the card, the drawing cards and then making them discard them and take 2 damage. I was really quite proud of that. I thought that was really thematic of Konrad Curze as a character. This idea of he hits you and then he fucks with you. He fucks with your preparations. You know what I mean?
I think
Tom, I'm going to go grab a card.
Thematic, but you know me. I'm the Rakdos Ping player. And I know for a fact there's a reason Ping is only ever 1 damage per card draw. And why effects that turn that into 2 or 3 are really good.
So I'm going to show you why this card is wretched, okay? Or that ability is wretched. Please consult the board.
Well, actually, no, because they're not drawn, they're exiled instead. So
no, but I still draw them first. No, draws a card.
No,
so they are exiled instead.
Yeah, it's a replacement effect. So that they're not actually drawn.
No, but at that point,
there is someone for this though. Do you guys know? I don't know. I can't remember if this. No, because it's a replacement effect. But Mr. Sir Konrad the Grim.
Oh my god.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me get post that in the thing.
No, Croc, that's your job. You got that one.
I got it.
Okay, yeah. So it's not
curiously,
quite that.
Konrad spelt the same way as well. This is a complete. I've got it. I'll post it. This is a complete accident.
Yeah, this
whenever another creature
not quite apply.
Whenever another creature dies or a creature card is put to graveyard from. Oh, that doesn't do shit.
No, that doesn't actually do shit.
It's because I remember him because his conditions are really weird. Because it's basically just if a creature card goes from or to the graveyard, but like in every specific manner of getting there, then it does it. But it's not exile, so.
Yeah, I think if I could have done this card differently again, because I did say to you guys leading up to this, hey, there's one card I've done, I probably should redo it a little bit, but I'm going to stick to my guns for the shits. I would probably have gotten rid of 2 of the keywords, and I would have made him cost 1 more. I think I would have kept this spell can't be counted. I feel like that is like super appropriate for him. I don't know which of the 2 I'd have gotten rid of. I'd have probably gotten rid of Trample. I'd have probably gotten rid of Trample.
Trample and First Strike, they're the ones that don't make sense.
Yeah, and then kept Flash and Shroud, to be honest.
I think, as I agree with you, Tom, that the thematics of the ability is a really interesting one. I think it's cool. It's horrendous, but it like as an Izzet player, actually. it hurts me to look at this because, but I don't hate it. I think it's actually an interesting one, and him being an assassin as well, it feels interesting. I'm wondering maybe if exiling is a bit harsh, but that's personal opinion, I suppose.
My mental state was full thinking I was just feeling bad for the lion during Thramus. Because that's all he was doing, man. How you feel when this thing makes face damage against you is how the lion felt during the first 2/3 of Thramus.
Let me see if I can find this is how you should feel when Konrad hits you.
It's super on the point with thematics because Konrad Curze is who should be sent to all Izzet players when they get card draw going. This is why
Mystic Study. I don't think so.
He's fucking evil Izzet colors. He exists. He is the guy that shows up to an Izzet place. They go home like, oh yeah, I got both Niv Mizzets and Infinite Combo. That like he turns on the lights, sees in the kitchen where the lights are 2 red eyes and like a fucking football sock with a bar of soap dangling at knee height. Ready to just be beaten mercilessly.
And because he has flash, oh my god! Wait, you could absolutely fuck someone incredibly hard with this. If let's for say example, someone like not brainstorms, but like what's the Blue Sun's Zeniths for like a big X amount of cards. You just flash in Konrad Curze and just suddenly like, oh, haha, I'm gonna draw 10 cards. Actually, no, you're gonna get domed for 20 damage.
Like with this guy, I'd probably change Shroud to like a fucked up ward cost because having can't be counted and Shroud is a bit brutal because there's no way to get rid of him other than a board wipe at that point or something more indiscriminate.
I think Shroud is more thematic because Thramas.
What? Because there's so many things I want to say to you right now that I'm not allowed to because of this. But no, like Shroud and can't be counted is a bit nuts. I don't think there's anything in the game that has both of those.
I also enjoy that. Coincidentally, talking with Thramas, that he and the Lion are both 4/4s.
Oh yeah,
and both have first strike.
Oh, that's funny.
And both have stuff that makes them hard to be removed.
And Konrad will trigger the Lion's ability if he gets killed.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun little thing. Hey, listen. So this was the one card that I made. And I'm like, yeah, this isn't perfect. There's a lot of problems with this, but I feel like this could have gone through like 4 or 5 more revisions and been a really interesting and good card.
That's right. Wouldn't Lion win the fight in the Konrad, like against Konrad in this case, because he'd get the +1/+1? Was it +1/+0?
Well, because both are dealt at the exact same time, so both would die. State base graveyard 1/1.
You can enjoy that.
Wouldn't the Lion get the trigger from killing Konrad first?
No, because they die at the same time.
They die, and the trigger would be on the stack and fizzle because it can't target him to put it on.
Once upon a time, damage did go on the stack in Magic the Gathering, but thank fuck that's not the case anymore.
Right, gentlemen, let us move on. So the next one, Moots mentioned us that he wants to do 2 at the same time.
Yes.
So you want to, I'm assuming there's a reason why you want to show them both off at once.
Well, indeed. I'm going to start with the first one here, and it is Lorgar the Urizian, a 4-mana Orzhov 1/4, so 2 generic and Orzhov. And he has an ability, which is pay 2 hybrid Orzhov, tap, sacrifice X creatures, draw X cards, and target opponent loses X life. If X is 8 or more, create a black 8/8 demon creature token. Activate only if an opponent lost life this turn. And he partners with Angron of Nuskeria.
Oh, you're doing the fucking scouring of the 500 worlds with these two.
Yes, exactly.
11 mana 6/4.
So, yes, 11 mana 6/4. 8 generic. Listen here. 8 generic, 3 red. Angron of Nuskeria costs 1 generic less to cast for each creature that died this turn. So, you can get the 6/4 for 3 red mana, potentially. He has Trample and Haste. And, this is the big one, at the beginning of your end step, if 8 or more other creatures have died this turn, you have drawn 8 or more cards this turn, and an opponent has lost 8 or more life this turn, then exile Angron and return him to the battlefield transformed under his owner's control. And tada! Angron, the Red Angel, the real Red Angel, not that fake one that Croc posted before. Flying Trample, Word 4. All creatures attack each combat if able. Pay 8 life, discard 8 cards, regenerate Angron, the Red Angel. And he has 28. So 20 power, 8 toughness.
The one man able with his bare hands dealing with Marit Large.
I was just thinking that,
Yep.
So basically, you've made a fucking pair of quest cards to create a goddamn abomination. Okay, all right, let me think about this. So, all right, so let's tackle these one by one. So, I think Lorgar's thing is absolutely fine as just like a standalone thing. I absolutely get it. I think it's really cool. It kind of mirrors Guilliman's thing in a little way, except instead of tapping his dudes, you're sacking his dudes, but the payoff is much more immediate and potentially stronger.
Which I thought was really funny then when you posted Guilliman. I was like, hold up.
Well, especially considering that Guilliman and Lorgar have a special hatred for one another as well. Angron is fun. A fucking 11 mana 6/4 is at face value goofy as hell, but one less for each creature that died this turn. So like, you're paying 3 mana for this guy, so that's fine. Trample Haste turns up, rocks someone's boat. Cool, very nice. At the beginning of your end step, if 8 or more other creatures have died this turn, you have drawn 8 or more cards this turn, and an opponent has... So, like, you followed the same line of logic that Aaron did with Morty, but this is actually much more balanced.
Morty's right. I mean, Angron should have Ward 8. I'm just saying, the Red Angel one should have Ward 8.
I think he's put Ward 4 just because Ward 8 is fucked. And Ward 8 is like, actually, you can actually deal with that.
Fucking Octavia, the Living Fetus, has Ward 8 and gives other things Ward 8s.
Yes, but he also is not a 20/8.
No, he's not a 20/8, but it has been done, is what I'm saying.
I'm honestly, I'm going to say this now. I'm really like thinking about putting Octavia in my fucking Leviathan deck. But that's a conversation for another time. But I like the pay 8 life, discard 8 cards, regenerate Angron the Red Angel, because you're not normally going to have 8 fucking cards. So like, if you can do this, it's funny.
Yeah. So like, I think this obviously requires a lot of setup, because you're not gonna, even if you like get Angron the Red Angel, you're gonna be like, okay, well, he's gonna have to pass around the table and see if he survives, makes it until the end, and then it's like, okay, you could theoretically like protect him with Lorgar if he also makes it around the table, because then you've got the like, you could potentially draw those 8 cards. So yeah, I don't know. I saw when I had these guys, I was like, all right, I'm gonna make this like the Shadow Crusade, boys. It's gonna be, and honestly, I just think like the Mardu package is great for this pair.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think it's really fun. I think you've got a funny little thing here. It's hard to go more into detail about this one because it's so does what it says on the tin.
Yeah,
it's thematically, it's out the wazoo. It's got that one thing that not many of the cards have had so far, and that's that it's genuinely funny as fuck. So yeah, no, big props for that one. That's really good.
Add to that, this is technically a man and his dog.
It is.
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah.
Which I think Willie and Clay will agree that Angron is the dog.
Right, gentlemen, shall we move on to Croc's Jaghatai Khan?
So
absolutely.
It is incredibly funny that you've made a transforming card. Because here comes my one. So the first half is Jaghatai, the Great Khan.
Ooh.
Hey, Naya, let's go.
He's a Naya Haste First Strike Vigilance 4/4 who has a unique counter. Ooh, wow. So, this one, Jaghatai, was a very open book when I made him. I initially was going to take the easy route and go vehicles, but I decided I have read the Jaghatai Khan Primarch book, and I think I will just reflect that last scene in its entirety. So, when he ETBs, deal X damage to target creature, where X is his inner storm level. It's a unique thing he has, Inner Storm.
Okay.
It's a constant level that isn't tied the number directly to him, but it's only active when he's on the board, like Omo. He has the ability Lightning Reflexes. When Jaghatai the Great Khan blocks or becomes blocked, exile it and return it to the battlefield at the beginning of the next post-combat main phase. Raise Inner Storm by 1. So you see the bit we're going for here.
Okay.
He cycles himself, just going in and out, dealing little pings. However, this number I could never quite decide on, so 5 is a placeholder and could completely shift. If Inner Storm is ever 5 or more, exile Jaghatai the Great Khan and return it to the battlefield transformed under its owner's control. That's his trigger. I can't quite remember what his alternate side was like. It's a blur. His final ability, 2 generic, 1 red, he must be blocked. His alternate side is the one I chose the funny picture for. Behold, the Warhawk of Chagorus.
Double strike, haze trample.
So this is a double strike haze trample 6/6 with a warrior's spirit. When the Warhawk of Chagorus attacks, deal X damage to target creature an opponent controls, where X is this creature's power. If this creature attacks alone, change target to each.
The speed.
And then has, if the Warhawk of Chagorus would be destroyed, instead exile it and return it to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next step, end step, Inner Storm is returned to 1.
Oh, so he goes back to being little man.
Yeah, so the whole idea, if you've read the Jaghatai Khan Primarch book, towards the end, there is a scene where I can't remember who it is. They're fighting orcs. One of his closest sort of friends with the Legion gets smacked by an orc into some lava, sinks a little bit and explodes, and he fucking loses it. He becomes a whirlwind of blades and just clears out the rest of the orcs himself. And that's the idea. The first half of the card is regular Jaghatai, he's Mr. Speedy Gonzalez himself. When you would block him, he actually, he's just that fast, he instead kills you anyway. Because, master of swordplay and all that. And
I don't
the
hate
second
this.
half is big.
This is a very interesting one. Yeah, I think
the fun one.
the fucking deals X damage to each creature is fucking okay. Let's just dome everything for 6. That's very funny. It's
That's the only reason the 5 or more is a stickler, is because of that. He goes in by himself and just.
It's only creatures target opponent controls. It's not each opponent controls though. So it is a bit more contained. It's not a fucking...
Yeah, the whole idea is your opponent has become those orcs hiding in a volcano. Go get him, Tiger.
Sorry, don't things lose their counters when they're exiled?
Yes, but these aren't counters.
Yes.
So that's it's... I did not know how it'll
it's this level, so it's... Okay, don't worry.
So it's like a static thing outside of the card.
Yep.
I sort of imagine it like the speed mechanic that they've added recently.
It was... Yeah. I was actually kind of gutted when they added max speed for Aether Drift, because I was totally going to name it something similar to that.
They stole your idea.
Holy shit.
Okay, very cool. Very cool. Right, should we move on to the next one?
Indeed, yes.
Right, so the next one is... I was prepping myself once again, emotionally. Corvus Corax by Aaron.
Corvus is probably my favourite one I've made, actually. I want to say it's probably the most balanced. Corvus Corax, Orzhov, or Korzov for short. 4 mana, 1 of each, Orzhov, and then 2 generic. Flying, double strike flash, 4/4. Abilities, Bane of Tyrants. When he enters, destroy each creature with the highest power each opponent controls. Corvus deals damage equal to the destroyed creature's power to their controller.
Oh.
Ouch.
So if you've got no big things, it's no biggie. But if you've got a fat Marit Large...
Or a fucking Angron.
And then from Darkness we strike, pay 2 and a tap. Did it right this time. Also, hold up. Wait a minute. Tom, you didn't call Moots out for a flavor fail on the fucking Demon Angron like you did me, alright?
That's because A, he knows he's an idiot, and B, because he actually his whole thing of Angron being a demon is the ritual that takes place during the fucking scouring of the 500 worlds.
Yeah, I mean,
this is it's less of a fact that because the Angron card he's made isn't actually Demon Angron. Demon Angron is literally an add-on to that.
But it's still
you have straight up just done a version of Demon Mortarion without saying as much.
No, because he still got all gassy and noxious from the Destroyer Hive on the ship in the first place that corrupted them.
Yes, but there's already a Demon Mortarion card. You just haven't called it that. We went over this. Why are you rehashing this?
No, because it came... I had a lapse in memory. But anyway, Crazy Man, tap him, exile Corvus Corax, return him to the battlefield at the beginning of your next upkeep.
Oh, okay.
So it's also a flicker commander.
Interesting.
Yes.
Flicker.
I like it. I only have one beef.
I'd probably say return him tapped, so you can't just do it again the same turn.
Yeah,
that's probably the one change I make. Now looking at it again.
I think him having flash, double strike, and flying is fine. I think his ability is mostly fine. I think the exiling him coming back is fine, but I think that it's basically just a whole load of every turn, everyone's biggest thing gets bocked and they take huge damage. It's like it's a cool commander, but I see that in an actual game, you play this and you just get ganked by the board because it's like, haha, we can't play our game until you're dead. And so it's
not
like
necessarily. Not everyone's board revolves around big creatures.
No, but it doesn't matter if it's big because it's like if your board doesn't revolve around big creatures, it's going to be whatever creature you have is biggest. And so it's like it doesn't need to be a big creature for it to go, oh, he's stopping me from playing my game. Hey, person to my left, person to my right. This guy's stopping us from playing the game. Let's get him.
He doesn't have vigilance. So if there's nothing worth tapping him for, you should just swing at someone for 8 instead. Which then he's vulnerable because he's tapped.
Oh, hang on. Yeah, no, he's a fucking...
but
he's a 4-mana 4/4 flying double strike. I think he should be a little bit more costed. Because that's big.
I think one of the easiest way to change this would be maybe not have it every time he enters. I don't know how you would word it. So like, because I feel like there's a lot of easy ways especially in white, to bounce creatures, and which wouldn't even require you to use his tap ability. And I think
maybe it could be arrives from.
To be fair,
see what I mean?
Like,
you could also just
make it that it's a
terrible
creature.
idea.
Actually, do you know what would work? What would work without having to change much at all? And you could keep it almost exactly the same. You just don't do it to everyone, and that would actually solve the problem of becoming
target opponent. Yeah,
that would solve the problem of you being public enemy number one. Because then it's just, hey, guy with the fucking 10/10 Kraken, your ass is fucked, and everyone else is like, lol. But if you do it to everyone, then it's like, oh no. I think this thing as well. Like he's not a board wipe character. He cuts the head off the snake. That's what Corvus Corax is. So I do wonder if saying, "Hey, one guy, you're in the bin," would be more appropriate characterization for him.
Yeah. I think I was just trying to make it more. What's the word? Interaction heavy. By having it be everyone. But no, having a single person is probably more reasonable for his mana cost, actually. Yeah.
And it means everything else can just be kept pretty much the same as well. And it wouldn't really change much. And the funny thing as well is you could when you exile him and he comes back, you could change who it is you're doing it to. You could go, right, you're not the problem anymore. I'm doing it to Croc now. And then Valgavoth goes in the bin. Thank God.
I think it's interesting that he has like that evasion. Like I feel like this is very it's very flavorful that he disappears into the shadows, and
that's what I was going for.
Yeah, and
it does make for one really cool thing, because I'm assuming it's at instant speed. It means if he gets targeted, you can in response just bye-bye.
Shoot someone dead.
Like he disappears, so it's like, oh yeah, there's Corvus Corax, we're gonna shoot him. Where'd he go? Oh, I've been decapitated. What happened?
It's really funny because before we did this, Ari and I were both talking about the Commander Ninjutsu ability and how I was probably going to put it on Curze and how he was going to probably put it on Corax, and neither of us put it on either, and yet somehow both our Curze and Corax have come out pretty similar in a few ways regardless. Same stat line, same mana cost, both have flash, and both can use their flash to do wacky shit off the top.
He also gets round Shroud because it's target opponent.
Exactly,
not target creature, which is nice.
That's a fun one.
I can't believe you will force me to play stacks when I'm playing against this guy.
Triggered abilities, Alice Dawn. Keep a throw. Jesus Christ, dude.
just bring all the anti-ETB effects.
But I like this guy a lot. This is one I'd like to play myself, probably, just because he's got Orzhov, so he can run a lot of Aristocrat synergy and stuff like that.
Yeah, of course.
And it works super nice. Like, I think it'd be very fun.
No, I think this is my favorite one out of the ones you've done so far, and it only needs the tiniest tweak, and it's already. I mean, your formatting's still ass, but like I've given up.
So you never expected me to be good at formatting, okay?
No, you're right, I didn't. But yeah, no, it's at least you capitalized the titles on like Croc, the Great Khan in lowercase. Thanks, Croc.
Look, besides the point, okay. I will say one thing I'm very disappointed none of you noticing is who did the designs of all my cards.
Or did you pick the same artist?
James Workshop.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Fucking hell.
All right, let's move on to the next one. So the next one is... Oh, it's me. Okay, cool. So the next one is Ferrus Manus. So Ferrus Manus had 3 variants, all were wildly different. This is the one I settled on.
I don't know why I read the Gorgon. I read Gregor. Ferrus Manus Gregor.
So Ferrus Manus is a 6-mana Mardu, 2 white, 2 black, 2 red, a 6-mana 7/6 with indestructible. And whenever Ferrus Manus attacks, target opponent chooses one. They sacrifice a non-token creature. They lose 7 life.
Oh my god.
Or Ferrus Manus gains double strike until the end of the turn.
It's one immediate change.
Oh
Wait,
my
hold
god.
up. I'm not done yet. Hold up. And so the thing, so as you could probably imagine, right, Ferrus Manus, Iron Hands, there was a couple of variants of him that had to do with vehicle synergies. One of which I actually think I shared with Aaron back when we started doing this like a month ago.
Partially. You never told me the full beans, but we were discussing the concept, yeah.
Yeah. And the thing that made me want to change that in the end was when I sort of had this shift, much like a lot of us have had with some of our Primarchs, is have this shift of thinking where I didn't want him to represent his legion. I wanted him to represent his own ethos. And if you know anything about Ferrus Manus, you know anything about his time on Medusa and the way he ranks his brothers, Ferrus Manus' entire shtick is Darwinism. It is survival of the fittest. If you are strong, you have the right to rule. If you are weak, you have the right to die. And that's why why I wanted Ferrus Manus' card to be just this embodiment of, hey, I'm gonna beat you to death. You know, it's just strength upon strength. It's snowballing strength. And so the idea is that when he attacks you, you can choose to sacrifice. So it's in order of best to worst you can pick. So if you've got a non-token creature you can sack, cool, you do that. If you've got 7 life you can lose, okay, cool. You do that instead. And if you can't do that, then you have to let him take the double strike.
So, yeah, that's what I was saying. Have it be one they haven't chose yet, and so they have to go down the list.
Oh, you know something funny that I realized? I don't know if you did this on purpose, but you said target opponent chooses one. It doesn't have to. It doesn't have to be the one.
That was unintentional. You guys know what I meant with this. It is not actually. It's whoever hits target defending opponent. Not actually, hey Moops, I'm attacking you. Aaron, does Ferrus Manus get double strike?
Well, of course he gets double strike. Of course we get rid of his only blocker. Yes, kill him. Yes.
I think it's very funny as well, specifically, that Ferrus is a 7 damage, which means you can withstand approximately 2 hits before you're within 1 iron arm of getting demolished out the game via commander damage.
So yeah, it was one of the other ones I had was a variant of him where I can't remember, he had like a couple of keywords and a reasonable-ish stat line, but his whole thing was each turn you can select one vehicle in your main phase, your first main phase or main step, and that vehicle just counted as a creature for that turn. And it's like, oh, okay. I didn't feel like that represented Ferrus Manus at all. It just felt so wishy-washy to me. And it was like, no, I want something that represents this character's like strength above all else mentality. And the fact that he hits like a bus. And so this is what we ended up with. I think I like that as well. I like mechanics that make your opponents have to choose. And it's like, normally when someone gets the choices, it's like, oh, do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? It's like, how do I want to suffer? In what way do I choose my suffering?
I think it's randomly funny. Okay, so 2 things I think about this. One, I think it's a bit of a flavor fail that he's indestructible. I think.
Yes, I agree with that.
Hold on. I think as well on that note, I find it funny that you made him indestructible and gave him 6 toughness. It's like, this guy isn't going to die.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's hard because when we talk about Ferrus Manus dying, this is the one thing that a lot of Iron Hand fans struggle with, and that's that whenever you try to talk about Ferrus Manus or Heresy era Iron Hands, you kind of are just like, any serious comments you have get entirely fucking washed away by the memes, and it's like, oh, he's dead. And so when I was making this card, I went, no, I'm just going to throw that in the bin. I'm not going to think about the fact that he's fucking dead, because that's just going to make this card boring, and I'm going to have to turn it into a meme. I don't want to turn it into a meme. And I know Oxy is watching this. I know Oxy loves his Iron Hands, and it would be kind of shit, because there's going to be other Iron Hands fans watching this, like, oh, what's he done for Ferrus Manus? You know, and I don't want them to just be relegated to seeing me make some guy who's subjected to this fucking stupid meme.
7-1.
You know,
this isn't pay 1 mana, enters beheaded. This is pay 6 mana. It's good old Iron Man Gregor. Here to beat you to death.
This is like, I know we're talking about Heresy era stuff. Nah, this is the flavor fail is I haven't done Heresy era Ferrus Manus. I've done Great Crusade era Ferrus Manus. That's the flavor fail.
Fair,
but no,
fair.
The only change I'd do to this guy is that you just, whenever Ferrus Manus attacks, target opponent chooses one they haven't picked yet or haven't chosen yet.
Cool. So when he comes to them a second time, they have to pick a worse one.
Yes, and they pick one different one, and a one after that. So you just picked one guy and went, you're my fucking Fulgrim. And you hit 3 times of Ferrus. Just across the board, dead-eyed lock, just, you. Fucking Elastic Man point.
Well, I'll tell you what. Instead of doing, we were going to do Croc Rogal Dorn next. How about we skip Croc Rogal Dorn, do that afterwards? How about we do Fulgrim now?
Sure.
I see how it is.
Fulgrim is Aaron's one, by the way.
Yes. So we have Fulgrim hit.
Oh
God. It's not a Yu-Gi-Oh amount of text on this. Holy shit.
So I think it's Grixis. Yeah, that's Grixis, isn't it? Yeah. So generic bad guy colors, just everything that goes into it, just general horrible bastard. Seems fitting for Fulgrim. First strike, lifelink 4/4. Elegance Incarnate. When Fulgrim deals combat damage, you may draw a card and then discard a card. If a creature an opponent controls, missed that one, died this combat, draw 2 cards instead.
Nice. It was good. Just card draw engine. Yep.
Slash is cool. If you both own and control Fulgrim and the Lair Blade in your upkeep, exile them and meld them into Fulgrim taken by Sinesh.
Oh.
Have you pulled what Mooks has done and done a transforming fucking Primarch as well?
Yes, I forgot to make the Lair Blade, but the Lair Blade was going to be 2 creatures your opponents control lose indestructible. That was literally what it was going to be.
Say that again, but slower. Say that again,
the
but slower.
Lair Blade was going to be 5 mana, equip 3. Creatures your opponents control lose indestructible and can't gain indestructive. That's what it was going to be.
That's what it was going to be. That's so fucking perfect. That kills Ferrus. That's great.
That's how we've got Fulgrim taken by Sinesh here. I had a few different options for making this guy, but I thought this was the more interesting one.
God, double strike. You fucks
double
love
strike,
double strike.
flying, board 6, 6/6.
Jesus!
And we've gone from Elegance Incarnate to Excess Incarnate. When Fulgrim taken by Sinesh attacks, draw 6 cards, then discard 6 cards. You may then cast a card with
I really like this.
6 without paying its mana cost from your hand.
The only thing about this I'd change is the Ward 6. I would just get rid of that. But the rest of this I think is fine. It's really fun as well because you haven't said with converted mana cost 6 or less. You've said 6 exactly. Yeah. So it has to cost 6, which is really fun.
I forgot to refine it. But the Ward 6 I think is justified because the sword gets exiled forever after this. On a Melge, it's gone. And in Commander, it's Singleton. You have no way of getting it back. And you're doing a lot of setup by drawing into or tutoring for this thing specifically in the first place. So I think for this big build-up, this is the payoff.
Are you just paying like 9 mana?
Yeah, you make someone pay like 7 mana for a Path to Exile to get rid of him. But that's reasonable. If that's your whole shtick. You can still block him and such accordingly if you have some decent flyer generation. Yeah. But this is the whole deck's purpose. It's a Graveyards Matter, Grixis, big man Fulgrim deck.
I think I'm still a bit wishy-washy about the Ward, but generally speaking, I think this is another really good one.
I think that's generally my opinion as well. This is a really interesting commander. Not only because it just we somehow stumbled upon the like same sort of flavor with the transforming Primarchs, right? but also the Lair Blade that has the anti-Ferrus synergy. Fucking hilarious.
That is funny.
I fucking knew he'd have indestructible. So I was like, that was what it was going to be. I just forgot to send you the image the other day, Mooch, to format it properly.
On top of that
would
as
have been
well, the Fulgrim taken by Slanesh form is similar to Sanguinius. Because it's also about cheating cards out.
Well, somehow fucking Sanguinius is still way fucking spookier still. Jesus.
Well,
Right, gentlemen,
if you put it down to me, just make it Siege of Sanguinius from sold.
So I just want to say, the other way I was going to make this guy was a Sire of 7 deaths scenario, but Sire of 6 deaths. And this should be like this sort of vibe.
Yeah.
I'm
That'd
going to
be
be Ward
funny.
base 6 life rather than Ward. Actually, that's too easy. But yeah, it's going to be one of these sort of scenarios where it's like big man 6/6 with 6 different keywords.
This
But
guy
I like
this guy's
the-
nice.
Yeah, no, thank you. I was quite happy with him.
I think, again, speaking of the word, like, I don't want to get too hung up on it, but because my way of thinking with my way of thinking with Angron was like, okay, I'm not gonna have word 8, but I can have like half of that. I think maybe that's literally the only thing for me. I think a word 3 is still good. But I
That's
also
fair.
but I also totally see why you think a word 6 is necessary. So like, I think
It's flavorful, and this is a one-time gig game. Unless you have someone putting something out of exile for the meld to go again, you only get this guy once. So unless he's someone board wipe, he's dead to a board wipe as well. Like
he is, yeah.
yeah.
But this is a really cool design, dude. I really like this.
Thank you.
Right, gentlemen, moving on. It is time for Rogal Dorn by Crot.
Okay, so
Really dull.
Rogal Dorn has 2 versions. I have to just get this out of the way quick and be done with it. Because I got feedback from 2 people who shall not be named when I was doing these cards, just so I could make sure my flavor felt right, get affirmation for myself. The cost of that was this thing. Introducing Dogal, Rungle of Dungle, a 1 generic 3/6 with 1. Well, it's supposed to be a 1/1, but it just isn't the correct version. That's fine. Var, you can eat it, okay? 1 generic. Target player eats a 6-inch by 6-inch piece of cardboard. If cardboard was eaten this way, target player gains an indigestion token. With the flavor text, fuck Dawn, Var, 2025. We're done. Here's the real Rogal Dorn, Lord Praetorian. So,
Oh my
I
god.
love this card.
Azorius, okay.
Oh, we shouldn't have first strike, I don't think. I forgot to take that out. That's besides the point.
Indestructable.
That's besides the point.
Indestructible.
Okay, get rid of the card.
Because I'm double checking this is the correct version, because this guy was a bit of a pain to get him to format the fucking website. But yes, it is. So, this guy
got pain through the way you've written that.
this guy has not changed since his first inception. I simply tweaked the balancing of it. Here's a 5 mana 3/4 with Vigi Indestructible. First strike doesn't count. Which has, when you would draw a card, you may mill it instead. If a card was milled this way, choose either Fortified Position or Withering Defense. Fortified Position reads, create 2 fortifications, a 0/2 colorless artifact creature token with Defender, and when this creature blocks, it deals X damage to the attacking player, where X is this creature's toughness. Withering Defense has fortification tokens you control, gain reach, and on your opponent's turn, this creature has +0/3.
Oh, that's fun.
This guy is simple as shit. You forego cards to build your house and make your house dangerous.
So you just mill yourself, and then you say to your opponent, "Come, kill yourself upon my wall."
The whole idea, I never once had an idea for how Dawn would behave by himself, but here is, you build your sandcastle, and you dare your opponent to come take it down. Every attempt to breach your impenetrable defenses leaves your opponent bleeding and battered. This is Dawn, Lord Praetorian.
You should have traded first strike for Defender. Flavor fell, man.
Honestly, yeah. I think besides some wording, I think this is a really cool design. I think
I do like this.
I think it's really funny. I think another funny version of this would have been just giving all creatures with a defender the ability of, when this creature blocks, it deals X damage to the attacking player.
I did think of that.
Its toughness. Oh yeah, okay.
Well,
And then
X is
I
out of
thought
order
if you
control.
put this guy in an arcades deck,
Mm.
no. So that's the limit. It's already Azorius mill. It's already Azorius with built-in mill and artifact generation.
I would like to read out the obligatory Imperial Fist mantra for this card.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Every morning I break out of my own home. Every evening I break in. I do not sleep. I merely repair the damage and perfect my defenses until I am either permanently entombed in my house or effectively exiled from my own home.
I love this card so much. He was my favorite to make. I like the fact that there is a slight parallel between him and Peter Turbo, because Peter Turbo makes his little robots and sends them on his way. Dorn makes his house and asks you for your robots to come into the house, into the marked zone, robot killing area. Very nicely.
Very good, Croc. Very well done, sir. Very well done. Right, are we ready to go for the second to last one?
Yes.
So, this is Horus Lupercal, War Master.
Oh
So-
boy.
Yeah, Wooberg.
Horus is a 5-mana 5/5 Wooburg
God.
commander. Legendary
Headless
creature
destroyer.
Primarch. He has 4 abilities, all at instant speed. The first one is for 1 red, 1 black. Sacrifice a red creature, deal 3 damage to any target. If the sacrificed creature was legendary, deal 6 damage instead. For 1 black, 1 green, you may sacrifice a green creature and add 4 mana to your mana pool. If the sacrificed creature was legendary, add 6 mana to your mana pool instead. And for white, you gain 5 life. If legendary, gain 10 life. For blue, draw a card. If the card was legendary, you may cast the card drawn this way without paying its mana cost. He is a legendary sacrifice commander.
Yep.
He is curiously enough the only, and I don't know what the hell you're about to do for Alpharius Omegon, but I'm sure it'll still fit. He is the only Primarch that can run all of the other Primarchs in his deck and sack them, no less.
Well, not my ones, because none of mine are legendary. Whoop!
Oh, I think this is a really funny commander. I remember when you were talking about it, you were saying like, I maybe want to take inspiration from Kenrith, the Returned King, and I definitely see what you mean by that. I think this is really cool.
Fucking Horus, not so super friends.
Yeah, well, I know that this is the thing, right? Red, green, white, and blue do not represent Khorne, Nurgle, Slaanesh, and Tzeentch, respectively. But I feel like red and black, that sounds Khornate. Green with black, that's a little bit Nurgle-lite. Certainly blue with black is very Tzeentchian. And maybe we're looking at a bit of a stretch of logic for white and black to be Slaaneshi, right? But it was like this idea that, okay, how do I also just sort of nod at the fact that he's always got 4 options at any one time, and he can use those 4 powers in whichever way he sees fit, right?
Yeah.
You know, I was playing around with a few ideas when I cooked up this guy. There was initially ideas about demon synergies, but then when I realized, wait a minute, Horus is the only opportunity any of us are going to have to do a Wooburg commander. I need to take this. And that's just where this kind of started. And I was like, the first one I actually came up with was the blue one.
Right. Yeah.
And then when I finished doing the blue one, the rest just were like so obvious what I needed to do. I think if I could change it now, the only one I would change is the green one. I would say add 6 to your mana pool of any color instead, because at the moment it's the blue one. The green one is like the weakest one there because you have to spend the mana to get it. So you're only actually getting 4 mana instead of 6, and it's all plain.
Would it not? I think it would be sort of thematic if you added 5 mana of any color, because then you could add Wooburg.
Oh, well, quite, yeah. Well, it would have to be 7 mana then, because you're still spending 2 mana to use it.
And as we find out, that's 5 mana of any color is enough to play most of the Primarchs.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, so it's a very fun little guy. It's a fun little guy, and I thought, I just thought it would make for an interesting deck archetype, because legendary decks are goofy as hell.
Definitely.
And this is just a fun way of like doing something with that.
No, I think it's really cool.
Keeping it what I've said about other Primarchs, this guy is like, it's not quite a man and his dog, because the first thing that came to my mind is a man and his worms. You could put this guy in a Sliver deck,
Oh no.
specifically Sliver Gravemother.
No!
And it's just
Oh,
Horus
you
sacrificing
can.
a bunch of little worms to the Dark Gods.
Yep.
Sliver, Horus working synergy.
Horus
God
Lupercal, Sliver Master.
No!
Unfortunate.
God damn it.
Sliver Gravemother.
Right,
I
come
think
on,
we're gonna have
let's
to kill this
see.
guy.
Let's see Alpharius Omegon, please.
Let us have a look then, shall we, at
It's the last one, isn't it?
Alpharius.
Yeah,
the
there it is.
Shadow. A 3 mana, 3/1 with
Oh.
you may have Alpharius the Shadow enter as a copy of any creature on the battlefield, except it is a 3/1 and has Alpharius the Shadow's other abilities. If it entered as a copy, it gains Menace and Skulk, which is indicating it enters as a copy and now suddenly it's more sneaky than it was before.
So what does Skulk do again?
Means can't be blocked by creatures with higher power than it.
Okay.
And it has the legend rule doesn't apply to creatures you control. And indicating everyone looks the same and all of that.
Yeah.
But then, whenever Alpharius the Shadow dies, exile it and return him to the battlefield transformed under target opponent's control. And that's when you get Omegon, the last Primarch, a 2/4 with Ward 2 that says creatures your opponents control have Myriad.
Explain Myriad.
Myriad says whenever a creature attacks, create a token copy of it that's attacking another opponent. So, aka, you play Omegon the Last Primarch under, I don't know, Aaron's control, for example, and Croc goes, oh, okay, I'm going to attack with my Blightsteel Colossus, and suddenly he creates two copies of it that are each attacking me and Tom as well. Oh no! Wait, sorry. Creature. No, wait, not me. I guess no. Wait, creatures your opponents control have Myriad.
No, yeah, you kind of messed that one up a bit.
Oh well. It's actually no. That was perfectly what I meant because
It's more chaotic, but yeah.
Yes, the idea is simply that it creates chaos. It's even if it's chaos for you, it's still chaos. So
this is a great card. I love this.
So
This is
I
fun.
think that's funny. And then you can pay 1 generic and 1 blue, 1 black, pay 3 life to draw a card. Omegon the Last Primarch becomes a copy of a creature target opponent's control, aka it infiltrating that player, and except it's a 2/4 and has Omegon the Last Primarch's abilities, and then that player gains control of Omegon the Last Primarch.
Pass him around.
So it becomes a game of hot potato to give your to make sure you get Myriad.
Instantly stick out to me is it's blue-black on an opponent that might not be able to pay blue-black.
Yep.
So if they don't have
It's,
blue or black, they're stuck with Omegon for the rest of the game.
They're stuck with Omegon. Yeah. Sucks to suck. I think this was the first Primarch I did out of all mine.
I can imagine, yeah.
It's I had so many different ideas for how I wanted to do him, but
Yeah.
I was thinking Commander Ninjutsu for a bit, which for those who don't know,
That's 3 of us.
yeah. Ninjutsu basically means, for those who don't know, is an ability where you can pay an alternative casting cost to return a unblocked creature you control to your hand and replace it with the card with ninjutsu. So, but Commander Ninjutsu is you can do that from the command zone. So that was the original idea, but as you can tell, I was 100% focused on the not aesthetic is the wrong word, but the flavor aspect of this card, of the character. Like it's all about infiltration and chaos and all of that.
Yeah, well, you've done the same thing that you did before, and that, like you did with Angron and Lorgar, and that's you've created a character that's thematic, not overpowered, or maybe a little overpowered, but is above all else is genuinely really funny.
Yeah.
And I think I can't help but think that's the most important thing here, that you play this and it's like, haha, Alpharius shenanigans.
Well, definitely, yeah.
Right, gentlemen, I would like to draw this episode to a close.
Would you now? Well, that is entirely unfortunate for you, because I actually have 6 more cards to talk about. Haha.
Unfortunately for you, you will have to talk about them another time.
The lost Primarchs and their 4
And
other
their
lost brothers.
To be fair, I will say this now whilst we're still recording. As the audience, if you're enjoying this and you like this episode topic, we are all huge Magic fans. We're not exactly professional designers, but we like this topic, and it would be great if there was a chunk of you that was interested in seeing this similar kind of 40k MTG crossover theory crafting topic again, whether it's chapter masters, chaos lords, or enchantments that are just chapter banners, or what have you, or Xenos, anything, or even named characters in 40k or whatever else. If it's something that interests you, do let us know in the comments, because it's certainly something that interests us, and if we can please a couple other people as well, then we'll take the hint and we'll do it.
Well, definitely, yeah.
Right, and with that, we are going to draw this episode to a close. Hang around after the outro for the Patron questions, but until then, goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you.
I fucking hate you, Croc.
Thank you for making it to the end of this rather silly Astartes Anonymous podcast. If you're enjoying our content or would just like to help out, please consider just taking a quick, brief look at our Patreon, link down below. And of course, hitting that subscribe button. And if you want the opportunity to interact with myself or any of the other members of the team, please consider joining our Discord. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Right. Time for some Patron questions, you animals. I've got them lined up and ready to go. We'll try and get through them as quickly as possible because the evening is waning on. So, the first one is from Madison, and Madison asks, "What is your favorite Warhammer 40k meme? General joke like Creedsman and shovels, and a specific comic spin, or comic or spin on a regular meme 40k-ified." That's a hard one. I kind of despise 40k memes, not because they're bad memes, but because 40k memes have a kind of a problem that many communities don't have with their memes, and that's that 40k memes get used as substitutes for the lore, which really irks me. Where I'll talk to someone, I'll have a nice conversation with them back and forth about a specific lore topic, and they'll sound like they know what they're talking about, and then randomly they'll say some shit believing it's gospel, and you'll be there like, oh, right, that's a meme, right? That's not real. And they'll be like, no, I saw it on TTS. It's the on
TTS. Yeah.
it's like,
yeah.
So if I had to pick one, I gotta rep Moots. I gotta do the "You do not see Tybros."
No,
I gotta rep Moots.
I was gonna pick that.
my G basically made that meme for the community. People still today, people still send that and not realize that was Moots. So that's a fun one.
I've got my answer prepped. Easy clap. It's one I was there to see the birth of. I was actually the one, I think, who caused it. And that is the cakening of Prospero. Put it on the screen!
The cakening of Prospero is a wonderful, nuanced meme that I don't think everyone in the 40k knows about, but it is a thing that exists. It's out there. You could find it, and then you will regret finding it.
Yes, so that was born from when very early on we get into the scene. I listened to a lot of audiobooks. I listened to the old school what was it? Fury from Fenris? Not Fury from Fenris. Fury from Fenris. Yeah. Where all the old space wolves sounded like Arnold Schwarzenegger. And it was a bunch of Thunderwolf cavalry guys hunting down a wolf and a great unclean one. And I was just like, oh, the thunder from Fenris is actually the clap of their ass cheeks on their cavalry. And Moots in live time in this chat with us, like 7 other people. It was like the birth of Christ. I was watching it with my own eyes as he just grew up this glorious fucking image of Leman Russ breaking it down, Omni-Man style. It was beautiful.
I don't actually know where I can find an image of the cakening of Prospero to put on the screen.
Go on Moots' Instagram.
Oh yeah, at Lemoots.
We gotta find it. We can't just deny them this. Hold up.
No, we gotta put it on.
How far down am I going to have to scroll to find?
If I search the cakening of prosperity on Google, will this come up?
No, I did, but it didn't really help.
If you look back far enough in certain circles, you can probably find it.
It's literally the first image, but it's just the top of his head.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, what the fuck? Oh well, that's because it links to the
Nope,
the
it's still
Instagram.
just-
It's
Oh,
not on your
it's
Instagram.
I found it.
I'm
You
looking
have
at
found it. Oh,
Oh,
you
I'm
can post that.
looking at
You
it.
can post that in the chat then.
Yeah.
How did I find it and you didn't, Tom? What the? Should I go
So
buy
I
it?
would look at his Instagram. I've clearly just like sped past it, not realizing it.
I had
Well,
to add
there you go.
Lemoots to the search term, so there you go.
There you go. There is that, and that is, ladies and gentlemen, that is the cakening of Prospero.
Me and Roots' unholy union.
What about you, Croc? What's your favorite 40k meme?
So I was going to go on a bit of a spiel about how I don't like the memes, but you already did that, so it's a really easy answer for me. It's big old bowl of spaghetti. They all be fighting over it. Give it like 5 minutes to send. Whenever I see this image, it like pops up. You know how on iPhones, like the little widget, which occasionally shows pictures from your photo library. This pops up every so often, and I just sit there chuckling to myself. Because it looks like Alexis Pollux is about to fucking volley a bowl of spaghetti at someone like a cream pie in a panto.
They all fighting over it. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. All right. So the next patron question comes from Sven Brenda, and he asks, I don't know if this has been asked before, but how do you, bracket, especially Tom, bracket, like your tea?
Ooh.
Bias question. I don't negotiate terrorists.
I have the perfect answer for this.
How do I like my tea? Are we like all kinds of teas, or just like how I like
tea.
I like
your
it
tea that you
brewed,
have.
preferably.
I mean,
Talk about your little fucking Japanese mixing set, man.
well, here's the thing, right? So the obvious, the short answer is with milk and sugar.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The long answer is it depends. Like, what kind of tea am I having? Lately I've been drinking matcha every day, and I found that's been really good for me because it's got a lot of really low-key healthy qualities to it. It's still caffeinated, but it's got like 1/4 of the caffeine in it versus the same quantity of tea or coffee. So it's still like something I can drink and wake up but not feel like I'm gonna crash like several hours later. And I like the taste. I just like the taste. Outside of that, like salted caramel teas, fancy teas that would be typically considered like effeminate are ones I generally like really like. Obviously black tea, like traditional black tea, is fine. And I can't not mention chai. Chai is the shit. Chai is the tits. If I go to a small corner coffee place that's like independently run and they've got chai as an option, I'm giving it a go. I'm always giving it a go. It's always really nice. I think the best chai I ever had was also the worst experience with chai I ever had, and I think it was with Aaron at the time because they did the chai traditionally and it was hot as balls.
When was this?
This would have been like in April 2023. This was so long ago. I just remember me getting chai when the four of us were together, and it came out so fucking hot. I had one sip, and for like about half a second, it was the best tasting chai I'd ever had. And then I spent the next 2 days being unable to taste because it was too hot.
What restaurant was it? Was it a London one?
It was when we were trying to get to London, but the Staines station was like out of commission, and so we had to fuck off to Timbuktu to get a different train from somewhere else. There was a coffee shop. There's this tiny little coffee shop at that other place. And they had like proper chai, like done a very traditional way, and it was like, oh wow, this slaps. So yeah, so then to answer your question, that is how I like my tea.
And
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm going to immediately bring it down. I'm from up north. I love builder's tea. Milk, sugar, Yorkshire tea, in a mug. Nuff said. I work in a cafe, so I work with a lot of different types of teas, but I don't like them that much because they're all weird.
A true northerner, a true northern man.
Your caffeine excess betrays you, man.
I think me personally, I like a good chai, but however, I have a special one that I've come to really enjoy, and I don't know if it would actually classify as a tea, but it's warm water mixed with
that's a good start.
Usually,
a ginger shot.
Okay, warm water, shot of ginger. Okay, still not quite tea, but we're getting there.
Lime juice.
Okay, I think we're brewing a potion, boys.
And honey.
That's not tea.
That's just...
And that's not tea.
That's soup.
Well, it's...
That is a soup. He's correct. That is a soup.
It has a name. It is a thing that exists. It is a name.
What's it called? What's it called?
Golem juice.
Like Gollum or Golem?
like the character.
Actual Gollum juice. Craft for Gollum juice.
Because as they themselves see,
it's what Andy Serkis drank.
Exactly.
Wasn't it? Yeah.
It's a concoction that Andy Serkis drank during the filming of the Lord of the Rings movies to save his throat from being destroyed when he was doing the Golem voice. And I used it once because I, from time to time, participate in a haunted house experience. I don't know what exactly it's called. I dress up as shit and I scare the shit out of people. And we had the zombie theme one year, and to save my voice, I had this huge thermos with golem juice next to me at all times.
See, I'm going to be honest. When I do Sala for the Deathwatch campaign, I have to do the whole gravelly thing, which is fine. I don't mind doing it, but doing it for like long stints at a time, it's like, I'm probably going to give this a go during the next session. This actually sounds like it's going to be really fucking helpful. Because I knew this thing existed, but like, I never remembered. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a go.
Really
it's got peer recommendations, so might as well.
Yeah.
But no, to answer the question, I like, chai is nice. I like green teas most. Like a good sort of like properly done green tea, or maybe like a good jasmine. I don't vibe with the oolongs though, and British tea can suck one.
A lot of
Asian
those
tea
weirdos from down south.
It's not that he's from down south. It's that he's weeaboo trash.
No, I like coffee. I'm more of a coffee person.
I don't like European English teas, but that Asian stuff. Give me the Asian.
If you look at history, when did we get our fucking tea from in the first place?
Did you guys hear that? That is the sound of Aaron digging his own grave.
That's not digging nothing.
The lack of self-awareness right now is killing me.
I will kill you.
Trust me, you already are.
And I hope to continue doing so. But I'm normally I'm a coffee guy. But if I'm like doing a cut, green teas are really good for weight loss. In case you didn't know, they're really nice for active, healthy, proactive sort of weight loss. I said proactive twice there, I didn't mean to. But green teas, banging.
Cool. Right. Okay, I think we are at an end. So, what I will say is thank you all for watching.
Thank you all.
If you, again, as per before we did the little outro, which, who at random, Moots is going to be doing the voice for.
Wow.
So Moots, if you want to do a little disgusting diddly for your little shorts. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for the patron questions. Big thank you for the patron questions. If you want to help out or support in any way, or are just thinking about supporting, we'd really appreciate it if you just took a quick brief look at our Patreon. And we are now making standard form lore content again on the channel, so go have a look at that as well. Share that with your family, your friends, your church,
your dog,
your loved ones, your dog, your cat, your neighbor's dog, your neighbor's cat, your neighbor's children. But don't get too close, that's creepy.
Your neighbor's wife.
Your neighbor's wife. Now,
God knows she needs the loving.
And don't forget, if you come to the server and say our magic cards were bad, I will find you in real life, put you in the stockade, and throw rotten fruit at you, because you are a baboon and should be sent back to the zoo.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you next time. Good night, goodbye, take it easy, toodaloo.
Bye-bye.